experience watching that team this year at all.
No.
And it's sad because it's just such a pitfall. God, even if they were half of what they were expected to do, if they were like a 4 seed this year, I'd be all in. Ought to be a 10 or 11.
They're barely in.
Barely.
I mean.
No, and they are barely in.
The bubble's so weak. I don't think you can keep them out. But
no, you can't.
What do we got here? Till we go on.
Till we're on?
Yeah, like 5 seconds.
45.
Oh, okay, that's way fast. All right. David's clock's off.
See?
Well, it's got me really screwed up because I looked at it and it said 5:01. So.
Oh yeah, it's got the double screw up going.
Now you got 29 seconds. So.
Morning, Paul.
I don't think Paul was first Thursday or Friday, but he did that just for you, Mark. He knows that you expect him to be first.
He's up and at him. Shot out of a cannon this week.
I watched parts of 3 women's college basketball games yesterday.
Okay, here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Hope you had a great weekend. It is the last one before Selection Sunday. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network. It's millerandmoulton.com. It's Miller_Moulton on Twix, Twitter/X. And back after finishing T6 in the Arnold Palmer Invitational, Mark Miller.
How are you, David? I'm excellent. I'm a little sleep deprived after a 3-day bender that is also known as the member guest at my club. I didn't sleep well last night. The first night without any alcohol in my system, and I couldn't fall asleep last night.
That's because you were too busy trying to play catch up on, man, what have I missed over these last 3-4 days? Has anything happened? What's Moulton going to throw at me tomorrow?
Well, there's that too. But I watched a lot of hoop yesterday. I watched a lot of women's college basketball yesterday.
See what phenomenon that is?
Well, Caitlin Clark drew me in, obviously, and then all of a sudden, LSU and South Carolina are playing. I turned the second half of that on. Then I watched the scrum. I'm like, wow, this is...
Yeah. I know. It's too bad that's all it was. It was a scrum.
Yeah, it wasn't a bench clearing brawl. It was a scrum. It has been blown completely out of proportion by the media. However, I don't think Kim Mulkey helped it a whole hell of a lot.
Which is partly why she appeals to so many people.
Woo. I'm not one. I love her outfits. There's no doubt, but
you love her fashion, but not her personality.
Correct.
Interesting. Because one would say that her fashion does display quite a bit of personality.
It does. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. But there are times in which, to me, it needed to be reined in. And yesterday, post-game, was one of those times. Instead to say, hey, next time, fight the big girl and we'll have a fair fight.
Well, I actually think... I know you're not supposed to say it out loud, but I kind of agree. When you're like 6'5", go after somebody 6'4" or taller, not necessarily 5'10", but
5'10's the one that started the whole thing, though. That's the way.
Did.
If it were a hockey game, okay, if it were all men, David, let's just take, because if we're factoring this because it was a big woman against a little woman, or because we don't do this in hockey. It was a hockey scrum. This was a scrum. Somebody attacked another person, the third woman in this case, floored her. That was it.
Correct. And also with a shove,
Yeah.
right?
It wasn't
Yes.
a punch. It wasn't hit to the face. It was a
No.
shove.
It
A good
if it-
forearm shiver. I tell you what, there's a lot of fullbacks that would have looked at that and went, yeah, that's a way to take a blitzing corner right there and knock him aside.
Zonka said, now that's how you clear a hole.
Yeah.
Right there. Now, I will say, though, if we're sticking with the hockey thing, sometimes, mid-sized guy starts it, bigger guy on the opposing team because he's the tough guy. He comes in, he starts pounding on the little guy, and then the big guy on the other team pushes the little guy out of the way sometimes and says, hey, if we're going to go, you and I go.
Very true. And that's what Kim Mulkey suggested, that when they play again in the NCAA tournament, that we have to have a little retribution. I mean, that's what she basically offered was, we're not done with this.
No.
Where Dawn Staley said, I'm embarrassed. This is bad for the game. I apologize. Sometimes tempers get, she said everything perfectly after the game.
Yes. Right.
All class.
Kim
Mulkey, no class.
Kim Mulkey said,
none.
We'll see you at the Final Four. And next time, all right, make sure she attacks somebody her own size.
Let me throw a little gasoline on this fire while I have the opportunity.
I think it's great, though. I think it's great for women's basketball. I really do. Okay, I do. Let's throw it all. Let's throw all the lumber on the fire. Let's go. Are we doing this?
It's good. See, I don't know if it's good for women's basketball because instead of the good comeback by Iowa yesterday or South Carolina remaining undefeated, this brawl will be talked about. Where it could be good is if they play again.
True.
Because if they don't play again, this is just a little blip on the radar. If they play again, and there's a legit chance that they play again.
Well, yeah, it would probably have to be a Final Four, but one's going to be a 1 seed and the other's likely going to be a 2, so it's not out of the question. They both made the Final Four last year. So, yeah. So look at you taking in some women's hoops. Mark, I don't know if you're aware, but today, shortly after our show ends, legal tampering. That's like jumbo shrimp. Legal tampering is allowed in the NFL for a 48-hour period of time. And Mark, this will be the first time that these teams and these agents and these players have talked to one another the entire offseason.
Exactly.
Right. Nothing's been going on. Apparently Saquon Barkley's already an Eagle, but they haven't talked at all. Not at all. All right. It's just the power of positive thinking, apparently, on both sides. But an awful lot has transpired in the NFL over the last 48 plus hours.
Sure has.
I woke up to, I'll be damned. So, that's how much news is going on right now. You can have a quarterback change teams while you go to sleep. That's how the NFL rolls, Mark.
Yep. Now I'm a season ticket holder with Russell Wilson at the helm.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Curious how your wife and that side of the family feels about their new quarterback being Russell Wilson. But Baker Mayfield returns to the Bucs. Russ to the Steelers. Some retirements, some guys getting signed, some guys getting cut. Mac Jones is a Jaguar. We had some quarterback news yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
We haven't even gotten to Kirk Cousins and Justin Fields and whatever the heck's going to go on there. It's as if this league has got a lot of attention or something. Before we get to Baker, and Roy Cummings will join us in our 8 o'clock hour to talk about the Bucs off season so far, and they're not done dealing. But, there's no doubt Russ is the starter, right? Kenny Pickett had a bad night last night, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. There's no, and this isn't even going to be like Baker and remember the Bucs, Mark, last year with Kyle Trask had a, wait for it, quarterback competition. I mean, do we think they're even going to go that far?
I wouldn't be surprised if they announce it as some sort of a quarterback competition.
Right.
I won't believe any of it, but I would you be surprised to see Tomlin, whenever he speaks next, say, well, we're bringing him in. We're going to have they may still sign Mason Rudolph as their third, David, and we'll have a full-blown quarterback competition this year here in Pittsburgh. Wouldn't surprise me at all to hear that. I don't believe it, but it wouldn't surprise me to hear it.
Yeah, that would disappoint me if they said that. There's really no reason to just Russell Wilson's not signing somewhere where he's competing for the job. And especially not signing this quickly somewhere where he's competing for the job. If he truly has to compete for this job, he could have sat on the sidelines for another couple days. I mean, don't you at the very least, Mark, think that he sits and waits out what happens with Kirk Cousins? And that at the very least, if Kirk leaves and now all of a sudden he calls the Vikings and he says, I know you wanted Kirk back. I don't blame you. But now, can we talk? How do I look to you now? I mean, don't you think he waits another 2-3 business days, sees what happens? If he truly has to compete for the job, well, hell, he could sign with the Steelers on Wednesday or Thursday, right?
Absolutely. I don't think Tomlin's going to come out and say Russ is our starter when he speaks next.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate coaches when they're being disingenuous. If I was Kenny Pickett, I honestly, the first time I'm in front of a microphone, I'd say, well, come on, we all know the story here. They didn't sign Russ to be a backup. They didn't sign Russ to compete. I could complete every pass in practice and every pass in the preseason games. We all know who's starting.
And that would be wonderful if we get that 6 seconds of truth that we always ask for. But that's not the world that we live in.
Wait, you guys are telling me that coaches sometimes are misleading with their words? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I just don't know why, if you're the Steelers, what's the need? I mean, signing Russell Wilson is hurting Kenny Pickett's feelings enough as it is. Now you don't have to lie to him. You don't have to insult him. Also, don't lie to the rest of the team. Don't lie to your fan base. I mean, you basically pulled Kenny Pickett aside and you said, have to admit, you haven't been good enough. Okay. And we're not saying this is it for you as our starting quarterback, but it is it for you as our starting quarterback in 2024. We're going to try Russ for a year. And you could only hope to have half the career that he's had. So, and that maybe the Steelers are thinking, maybe we made a mistake, basically handing this kid the job midway through his rookie year. Remember, it wasn't their intention, but Trubisky was so terrible, and they were 3-6 or 3-7 that they went, what the heck. But Russell Wilson, a Steeler. Baker Mayfield back with the Bucs.
And Mac Jones, a Jag.
And Mac Jones, born and raised in Jacksonville, back with the Jags. We haven't even gotten Justin Fields and Kirk Cousins yet. That'll be the rest of the week. Tell you what, though, who had a bad day yesterday? The Bears. Because I don't think they're going to get a whole lot for Justin Fields.
We had thought a second before. I think a third might be more likely, David.
I'm thinking now it might be a fourth or a fifth. I mean, who's going to want them? And what do they have to give up to give? Who are they competing with? If a team wants Justin Fields, I mean, name me the teams right now as we head to break who want Justin Fields.
It's a great question, David. Because if they would have wanted Justin Fields, wouldn't they already have him by now?
Apparently, the Jags were the only team that offered for Mac Jones. That's why they got him for a sixth.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And I'm Todd with the Diamond District. I believe in complete transparency. If you're shopping for diamonds in Naples, you're paying too much. If you're shopping in the Cape or Fort Myers, you also won't see the selection you deserve to have. If you're online, there's no human connection, and you won't know if your diamond is beautiful or not until it shows up in the mail.
Just because it's GI certified doesn't mean it's brilliant. There's so much more to a diamond than its cut, color, and clarity that makes it beautiful. Visit us at the Diamond District for a non-commissioned and educational presentation and quit paying more in Naples or buying blind from the internet. The Diamond District has the rarest diamonds from half carat to 10 carats. You won't find a bigger selection or better value.
And you won't find a better buying experience. Jason and I are in the store nearly every day, and we look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, we can probably talk about this after the show, but if we want to, I mean, this week I can redo some of the voiceover stuff or have you guys do it or whatever. So that it so that it cuts out the
Yeah.
the stuff we don't want. New Twitter handle though. We're moving on up.
To the east side.
New and improved. So, do you guys ever go to West Palm Beach?
I've been, yeah.
Okay. I'm going there this weekend, upcoming.
What's there?
One of my buddies, he works for the Fredericksburg Nationals.
Okay.
Minor league baseball. He's coming down for spring training stuff. And so I'm going to visit him. He's got a free place on work, so I'm freeloading.
When's Appleton, Wisconsin come to town?
I've been in touch with her. She's down here.
Oh, looky
She's
there.
here. Nothing's happened yet, but yes, she's.
What was the
she's in
water
state.
ball total? I don't know. I lost a few balls over the 3 to 4 days of golf, so finished second in my flight. I mean, I didn't lose a ball on Wednesday. I didn't lose a ball on Saturday. I don't remember on Thursday and Friday, to be brutally honest with you. Probably 4 or 5 for the week out of 72 holes. Considering there's water on every hole.
Yeah, that's tough.
Our golf course has a lot of water.
You know, I mentioned this last week, but I don't know. The bonus hour has been killing it right now.
Yeah?
It gets
Good.
significantly more pull than all the other ones. Probably because, like we said last week, because like people don't.
Yeah.
Not everyone gets to hear it, so they download it.
Yes, it is, Johnny Finger Lakes.
Kilo's dad, me too. Big week. Major conference tournaments. I'm pumped.
Yeah. Unless we have a bid stealer, like USC in the Pac-12 or,
God, I didn't realize, because I don't follow women's college basketball. I didn't know the whole thing with the Georgetown coach passing, and then they made it to their first ever conference final. That was
on his birthday, or on
her birthday. That was pretty cool.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, they play UConn. Is it tonight?
Yes. I think that's what I saw. Yeah. But I think the SEC tournament might sneakily be very, very good.
Well, if they beat Washington in the first round of the Pac-12, they'll play Arizona again.
USC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're the 8 seed, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won 4 out of the last 5. They finally got healthy. Figured some things out.
Did you watch any of the Oscars?
Yeah, I do what I normally do. I watch the first half hour.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. The starting 5 is a little more than 15 minutes away. We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on Twitter. Thanks for being with us. Mark, back in the saddle again. A lot went on late last week and over the weekend, and obviously mid-March, an awful lot is going on. Did you watch the Oscars?
I did. I watched a good chunk of it. I didn't make the whole thing. It was a long weekend, so I was a little tired and shut it down about 9:30ish and turned it off. So I didn't make it to the best picture.
Well, how about them starting an hour earlier?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, imagine that for an idea. Starting earlier. Huh.
I was going to bring that up, David. Because
you mean just because the Super Bowl kicks off at 6:40 on a Sunday and it seems to do well in the ratings every year? So you mean we don't have to wait until after 8 o'clock? Hey, is anybody running college basketball paying attention to this?
Or college football, David.
Yes, but
or
nothing starts later than the championship game of the men's college basketball tournament, which doesn't tip before 9:20 in the East. Anybody paying attention?
And it's on a Monday night, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Just brutal.
So I don't know. It's just a thought. It just, the Oscars, which whether you're a fan or not, I mean, it'll draw 35 million people.
It'll be one of the highest rated non-football games of the year.
Right. In fact, most years, Mark, it is the highest rated non-sports programming of the season.
So the
top
Oscars
100
gets more than the
shows.
Grammys?
Oh, far more.
Okay. I didn't know that. Interesting.
So, but yeah, I gave it a half hour, Mark. I do the first 30 minutes every year of the Oscars.
I did the first 30 minutes, and then we went to bed really early last night. My wife will not let me watch TV in bed. So I was allowed to watch the Oscars, and she kept going, are you going to turn it off yet? Are you going to turn it off yet? Are you going to turn it off yet? So finally, after one of the awards, I said, that's enough. I'm done. Because there was too many songs. The Billie Eilish song, I can listen to her sing anytime, anywhere, they ran every song, and some of them weren't good. So that would be my knock. I will say, as Adam also pointed out, John Cena made everybody feel badly about themselves. They did a great bit in which they brought back what was, as Jimmy Kimmel said, was one of the most memorable Oscars moments when David Niven was presented an award and a streaker ran through 48 years ago, whatever the hell it was. And he says a streaker ran through. And so the bit was that John Cena was supposed to run through naked, and he peeks his head around the corner, and you can tell he's got nothing on. I don't want to do it. And he goes out to present an award, and he's got a big envelope covering himself, and he is slithering sideways. You know, if there was a loincloth over his nether regions, which I'm sure there was to prevent any slippage, but he did a great job with the envelope to make it look as if, you know, there was nothing there. So that was a pretty good bit.
Good for him.
Exactly. And the crowd roared. I mean, they actually found it funny, because a lot of the times they're too pretentious to have any jokes be funny.
Yes. I was just wanting to see how pointed Kimmel would get. You know, it just, obviously hoping for, Letterman-esque, because I loved Letterman's year hosting the Oscars. I have no idea what those people were expecting. Okay, yes, he did stupid pet tricks. It's David Letterman. Oprah, Uma, Oprah. Lighten up, both of you. But so I was just wanting to see how far Kimmel went. Robert Downey was a good sport, going along with Kimmel's joke, and they were both making fun of Robert Downey's previous drug use. Okay, all right, there you go. Not taking yourself seriously.
And he won and didn't take himself seriously on the scene. I mean,
apparently he thanked his awful childhood.
Yes.
That's tremendous.
So what I watched was good, but I don't go to the movies, so the Oscars don't do a whole hell of a lot.
Well, I know you stopped going to the movies before the pandemic. I mean, it's been years since you've gone to the movies.
The Oscars every year makes me want to watch more movies. I will say that there are movies that, that David Sampson's talked about that I've heard of. Like, I probably need, now that these are all on a streaming source near you, to watch a few of these.
And David Sampson will join us tomorrow, and maybe we'll get to some sports because, obviously last night, a big night for David Sampson. Big. Apparently he and, a few others, Adnan Virk and what have you, they were doing like a live Oscars show, I guess. So we'll talk to David tomorrow. He'll be sleep deprived, but he'll be running on adrenaline because I think last night's bigger than the Super Bowl for David Sampson. So he'll join us on the show tomorrow, as will Pat Kerwin. But a lot of NFL news, a lot of college hoop news, a lot of good hoop.
And something happened that I thought Miller, Moulton, and Trent were all fired up about, that Drake beat Indiana State, because that might mean that the Valley's going to get 2.
Right, because we all knew Drake was not going to get in. Even with 27 wins heading into yesterday, we knew Drake was not getting in. But now Indiana State, 28-6?
But their net was in the 20s going into that game. They seem to be a team that should get in. If they end up not getting a bid, I would be very disappointed in the committee.
I will say South Florida's shot at an at-large, however much you thought they had a shot, went away Saturday. They blew a lead to Tulsa. Tulsa's a middle-of-the-pack team in the American on the road. So their 15-game winning streak, which was the nation's longest, is no more. We were hoping that they would have won that game, won 2 in the AAC tournament, and they would have had an 18-game winning streak in the American final. And then it would have been like, are we really keeping this team out? Seriously? But now, probably can't afford a loss to Tulsa in March if you're a team hoping to have a backdoor way into the tournament besides winning the conference tournament.
And because of the USF loss, to Mark's point, that's why the Indiana State loss is so much more interesting, because you got to have someone that's going to hold the committee's feet to the fire, and this could be that.
Well, and there are very few quote unquote mid-majors that are bubblicious also. So, we'll see. We've got a couple of small conference tournaments to be decided in the next couple of days, but we'll see.
But
Miller.
good college hoops over the weekend.
Yeah.
Both men's and women's sides, great basketball.
Well, the women's side, first off, did anybody see the end of the Tennessee-South Carolina semifinal in the SEC tournament? First off, it was a travel on South Carolina. That should have been a turnover. Tennessee should have won. And then a girl who hadn't hit a three all year banks in a three at the buzzer to win by one.
She'd only taken one other three all year. It was her second three of the year. She's now 1 for 2. Banked it in.
50%. That might be leading the conference.
Banked in the three. And so South Carolina keeps their perfect season alive.
Remarkable, to say the very least. We'll get to all of that, all the football news, all the rest of the sports news that you may have missed, because we do the starting five. We do it every day on the other side right here. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
If you're in love and thinking about a diamond, you'll want to hear from my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When purchasing a diamond, you deserve a relaxed, stress-free, and educational experience. You want to have a good time and feel comfortable. You want selection, quality, and value.
At the Diamond District, you'll get it all. With our team of non-commissioned diamond advisors, no one's in a rush. We care only about you and making sure your needs and wishes are fulfilled.
You'll be wowed by our selection of GIA certified diamonds, stunning diamond bracelets, earrings, pre-owned Rolex watches, exotic ruby, sapphire, emerald, and tanzanite jewelry. There's something for everyone at the Diamond District, and all at the lowest prices anywhere.
Jason and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day. We look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Yeah, DC, you must have joined us a little late because we literally opened the show with it. And yes, the guy coming out of the stands was that was something. Usually a couple minutes before the show starts. I try to get on 5 minutes before the show starts, but sometimes we're a little late. Today we were 2 minutes before the show starts.
And when Mark isn't here, sometimes we end the live stream at 6:15 because things aren't going well. But You know, this really is an underrated time for sports. Super underrated. Like this time of year.
No, I know what you mean.
Yes, Ryro.
Yeah, long story short, I just had to reboot every piece of equipment that we use, and Friday went off without a hitch. Thursday, not so lucky. The sundial. That's funny. The best was when I finally thought I figured it out. And I was so excited to test it out. And I texted David. David was like, I'm gone.
Yeah, it's 9:20. I'm like, yeah, I've already left the house.
That was priceless.
I trust your expertise. You're pretty sure it's fixed? We'll go with that. I have to admit, my favorite moment from Thursday was Mark standing in the studio. And after perusing everything for 2 minutes, looked around and basically his facial reaction, because I couldn't hear him, his facial reaction was, nope, everything's the way it should be. I'm out of here.
Which is perfectly fine because I hated the fact we had to call you to begin with.
Probably cost us the tournament.
Right.
Poll question.
Did you watch the Oscars?
That's what I was thinking too.
You guys are in sync. Do it. Yes, no. Partial.
Yes, no. No. Yeah. Did you watch the Oscars?
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on Twix, Twitter/X. Thanks so much for being with us. Mark is back after a T6 at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. And so he's going to give it a go. He's skipping the players this week. He's just gearing up for the Masters. You know, he's a lot like Tiger. Really, for the most part, only the majors.
Your mocking of my favorite week of the year hurts.
And
literally my favorite week of the calendar year. I look forward to this week more than any other, and you mock me every year.
I don't know about mock.
I come back and say, oh, Mark T6 at the Bay Hill, the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Mm-hmm.
Well, just acknowledging that you were playing golf last weekend. I mean, I would have said LIV, but they were in Hong Kong, so I knew you couldn't get back in time. But, you know, it's not that far. A commute for you and, the Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Right.
I mean, 3 hours, 4 with traffic. I mean, so you got back in time. I will say you look tan. You look good.
It was warm. Friday was warm. It was
nice.
it was fantastic, but it was steamy out there. I was not ready for it.
Well, you look good.
Thank
I'll
you.
say that. 21 minutes now before the hour. It is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
number 1, the NFL. The Bucs re-signed Baker Mayfield. This has very much a Geno Smith contract quality to it. So 3 years, $100 million. Incentives can get it to $115 million. $50 million guaranteed. So basically, Tampa Bay is committing financially to a year and a half of Baker Mayfield. This 3-year, $100+ million contract is really a 2-year 50 or even 1-year 50. If for whatever reason Baker implodes this year, the Bucs could just take about a $15 million cap hit for 2025 and get rid of him. In other quarterback news, Patriots traded Mac Jones to the Jags for a 6th rounder. Apparently, the Jags were the only team to offer up anything for Mac Jones. I think the Niners are crushed, and I'm not kidding. Because Sam Darnold signed a 1-year deal to back up Brock Purdy. He's a free agent. The expectation is he's going to sign elsewhere. Kyle Shanahan loved Mac Jones. Loved him. Nearly took him in the draft when they took Trey Lance. I think Kyle was hoping to just pick Mac Jones up and have him back up Brock Purdy for a year. But Jones grew up in Jacksonville, and he signed with the Jags. Now, the Jags aren't going to pick up his 5th-year rookie option, so he's going to play the final year of his rookie deal this year and be a better backup for Trevor Lawrence. Russell Wilson overnight signed with the Steelers. And remember, Mark, we asked, so what kind of a contract? Because he was going to make $39 million this year. It was how much of the $39 million was Denver going to pay, and how much was his next team going to play. He signed for the absolute bare minimum that a player of his tenure could make, which is $1.21 million. So the Broncos are on the hook for $38 million. Cash. And so there you have it. The Steelers have a new quarterback. His name is Russell Wilson. Over the weekend, Chiefs re-signed Chris Jones. It's a massive contract, 5 years, $160 million. But what it really is 3 years, $95 million. $95 million guaranteed in the first 3 years. The reason they signed him to a 5-year deal, I mean, he's going to play next year at age 30, is they can prorate the $95 million over 5 years from a cap standpoint. He's not going to see the last 2 years at 30-something million a year, and it's not guaranteed. Packers are releasing Devondre Campbell. They're going to save either $10+ million if they release him a la June 1, or they'll save a little over $2.5 million if they make the cut effective immediately. Fletcher Cox retired, 33-year-old, played 12 years with the Eagles, 6 Pro Bowls. Coming out of the draft, Mark can,
that was your guy. No, you were all over that from the word go.
Not a Hall of Famer, should be a Ring of Honor type guy with the Eagles. Terrific career, Fletcher Cox. So Kelsey and Cox retire. They have like 4 longtime guys. Brendan Graham and who's the tackle who's been there forever?
Lane Johnson.
Fletcher Cox.
Lane Johnson.
Lane Johnson.
So they got Brendan Graham and Lane Johnson are coming back, but Kelsey and Cox are the 2 veterans that retired. Dolphins are re-signing offensive lineman Robert Jones. That's not Robert Hunt, who is the starting guard. This is a swing lineman, Robert Jones. They keep him out of free agency. And legal tampering begins at noon today, ladies and gentlemen. The first time that all of these players and their agents will be talking with their prospective teams will take place as of noon today. It has not happened previous to this, even though Calvin Ridley is apparently going to the Patriots and Saquon to the Eagles. But there's been no conversations whatsoever. College basketball. We love the small conferences, Mark. Stetson, the Hatters, DeLand, Florida is their home. They're going to their first NCAA tournament. They win the A-Sun 94-91 over Austin P. Drake beat Indiana State 84-80 in the Missouri Valley final. Longwood wins the Big South for the second time in 3 years. They beat UNC Asheville, pounded them by 26.
Yeah, they were like the 5 or 6 seed too.
They were. They upset High Point in the semis. They came back, beat them by 1, and then took care of Asheville. By the way, Purdue did a nice thing yesterday. After the game in which they beat Wisconsin at home, they retired Zach Edey's number 15 and put it up in the rafters. Might as well not wait, right?
Right.
The Patriot League final tonight will be Colgate and Lehigh. It'll be Samford against East Tennessee State in the SoCon. ETSU, the 7 seed, Mark, made it all the way to the final. It'll be Arkansas State against James Madison. If there's a potential for a small school to get an at-large, the Sun Belt, James Madison's what, like 27-3? Something like, didn't they beat Sparty?
Yes. That is
I mean, it's James Madison could get an at-large. They could. But when everybody does their bracketology, they pencil James Madison in as winning the Sun Belt. But if you're a fan of a team on the bubble, you're rooting for James Madison tonight over Arkansas State in the Sun Belt. I know I've asked this for the last month, so could you humor me for just one more time? Is Juwan Howard really going to survive this? They lost at home to Nebraska by 15. They went 8-23. Mark, he didn't coach 11 games. Martelli did. Martelli went 5-6. That means the games he was on the bench for, they went 3-17. Are they really bringing him back?
I think they will because
wow,
they won this football national championship and no one in Ann Arbor has figured out that there's a basketball team yet.
Gotcha. So they're not realizing. Oh,
and
okay.
By the start of next season, when the football team goes 7-5 with that schedule that they have to play and losing all the players that they lost,
right?
Then it may dawn on them that the basketball team's a grease fire right now.
And once again, the interim coach for Ohio State won. They went on the road and beat Rutgers by 22. They're only 5-1 since he took over. I mean, nothing to see here. Nothing going on. I hope they have such a Big Ten tournament run. I really do. Come on.
Get to the finals. Get to the finals of the Big Ten tournament, even if they lose, just to put the pressure on the Buckeyes to hire this guy?
No, I want them to cut down No, I want them to win it.
Oh.
No, I want them to win it and turn and look at the outgoing AD and the incoming AD and go, really? Sean Miller, huh? Really?
Well, that would be another bid stealer.
Well, yes, then it would be. Women's college basketball, South Carolina won the SEC. Iowa won the Big Ten. USC, by the way, best player not named Caitlin Clark, Juju Watkins, USC. She's a star. I think she's a freshman. A star. Pay attention. Notre Dame won the ACC, UConn, and Georgetown in the Big East final tonight. NBA. Man, Miami had a bad loss last night. Lost at home to the Wizards. Worst team in the league. What the heck? 110-108. Miami's the 8th seed right now in the East. Now, there are 2 games out of being the 4, but just saying. Orlando lost at home to Indiana, 111-97. That's not going to help them avoid the play-in. No Embiid, no Maxey, and the Sixers still beat the Knicks at the Garden. Yeah. 79-73.
Well, it's just who didn't play for the Knicks? They're all banged up too. So
Well, but Brunson played. I mean, come on. No Embiid, no Maxey, and the Sixers aren't going to score 80. Seriously? By the way, no Kawhi, no Paul George for the Clippers last night. It's a hell of a league, isn't it? Milwaukee beat the Clippers. Cleveland lost at home by 19 to Brooklyn. Not that guys are taking nights off or anything. No. And the Lakers beat the Timberwolves. They're shorthanded. Cat's out with a knee injury for the rest of the regular season. NHL, Islanders beat Anaheim 6-1. That's important because now they're just 2 points behind the Lightning. But here's the funny thing. The Lightning have actually moved ahead of the Wings. They're the first wild card. And technically, the Islanders this morning are the second wild card, and the Wings are out. But the Islanders and the Wings are 2 points behind not just the Lightning. They're also only 2 points behind the Flyers. And the Islanders are in the same division as the Flyers, so they could knock Philly into the wild card. And anyway, Edmonton shut out Pittsburgh 4-0. This McDavid guy, goal and 2 assists. Golf, Scotty Scheffler, 666 to win the Arnold Palmer Invitational by 5. And he still didn't putt worth a damn this week. If he had, he would have won by 14.
he did yesterday, though.
He did.
He had
Finally.
like 9 1-putts yesterday.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yesterday he putted incredibly well.
He did. The day before, he missed 2 3-footers. Right. Abraham Answer won on the LIV in a 3-way playoff in Hong Kong over Paul Casey and Cam Smith. Joaquin Neiman missed the playoff by 1, Bryson DeChambeau by 2, and John Rahm by 3. I just thought I'd mention some golfers that you've heard of. LPGA, American Bailey Tardy, who's 27 years old, won her first tournament over in China. NASCAR, Christopher Bell led 50 laps to win in Phoenix. Toyota won every single race this weekend in Phoenix. Ross Chastain finished 6th. Joseph Newgarden dominated the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, leading 92 of the 100 laps. What is this, an F1 race? No. Just saying. Penske Racing finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Well, he's running the series, so the fix is in. And finally, U.S. women's soccer won the Gold Cup. We beat Brazil 1-0. Brazil didn't even have a shot on goal.
And it got a little chippy in that one, too.
Yeah. Feisty.
The rest of the world's had enough with our women dominating. They play the U.S. team a lot differently than they used to.
That's because now they think we're not that good. They think they got us now. So we'll see. 8 minutes before the hour. That was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you go. I don't think I missed anything.
If you did, I didn't notice because I've been out of pocket for a few days. You got all the highlights as far as I know, David. I thought it was a hell of a job.
Well, and apparently Trent was just hooked on phonics with college basketball on Saturday that he missed half of yesterday sleeping it off.
Saturday was a very fun day.
Oh, good.
To put it lightly. The madness is here, and when the madness arrives, I usually can't keep it together, in case you haven't figured that out.
So it's just nice to know that he went down that road, because, Trent has given the appearance that he's, like a milk and cookies, fruit punch kind of guy. So it's nice to know that, he can be hooked on phonics just like the rest of us. That's good. Good to know. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Wayne.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
If you're in love and thinking about a diamond, you'll want to hear from my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When purchasing a diamond, you deserve a relaxed, stress-free, and educational experience. You want to have a good time and feel comfortable. You want selection, quality, and value.
At the Diamond District, you'll get it all. With our team of non-commissioned diamond advisors, no one's in a rush. We care only about you and making sure your needs and wishes are fulfilled.
You'll be wowed by our selection of GIA certified diamonds, stunning diamond bracelets, earrings, pre-owned Rolex watches, exotic ruby, sapphire, emerald, and tanzanite jewelry. There's something for everyone at the Diamond District, and all at the lowest prices anywhere.
Jason and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day. We look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, Paul, their pitching is really struggled. Well, that team they had last year, that was a whole bunch of fifth-year guys, and that's the best lineup that they may ever have, to be honest. That's how good that team was hitting the ball. But by the end of the year, and they made it to the ASUN final, but their pitching, they lost the top two starters to injury last year. That was a team, if their pitching had stayed healthy last year, that was a team that actually could have gotten out of a region. Happy affiliate anniversary. Today's an anniversary for an affiliate?
No idea.
Huh. I know we started in October. Our third act began in October. I know that.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on Twix, Twitter/X. Thanks so much for being with us. Roy Cummings, 1 hour from now. Big news in Bucksland. Baker back in the fold officially. So they keep Evans, they keep Baker. They tagged the DB. They may be trading a couple starting corners, though. That's what came out over the weekend as well. We'll talk to Roy Cummings about the Bucs offseason thus far and what they should do this week, especially now, Mark, that legal tampering can begin at noon today, not before noon, though. Just hold your horses.
This has been a bone of contention with you forever. I mean, we all know that they talk beforehand. We all know that they started talking between GMs and agents at the combine at the very least, if not even before that.
Oh, hell, they've been talking since November. Please. That's why this whole legal tampering period. I mean,
It's like saying you though.
Okay, what's more of a bother? That Mike Tomlin's going to announce that there's a quarterback competition in Pittsburgh, or legal tampering begins at noon today? Not before noon, though, today. And nobody's talked to anybody till noon today. We're going to have a quarterback competition in Pittsburgh. Right. Or, well, everybody needs to wait till noon on Monday the 11th. And then if you want, you could, you can start looking at, like, the Falcons have had no contact with Kirk Cousins or anyone associated with Kirk Cousins.
Well,
really?
Apparently not only they've had it, but it's not going well enough, because the rumor is that Kirk's going to test the free agent waters beyond. I mean, he's not signed with Atlanta yet. We haven't heard about a deal coming yet.
Well, you can't. They're not allowed to talk till noon today, Mark. How can you have a deal?
So we'll find out if Kirk's actually going to test the free agent waters, or is he going to be signed by Atlanta at 12:01 this afternoon?
It's not official, though, until Wednesday.
That's
afternoon.
right. Yeah, that's right.
They can only talk now, Mark. There's no contracts now. That nothing is officially being worked out today. Nothing at all. Of course, it's already been worked out, but nothing officially can happen today. They can just talk, and they have to wait till after lunch. Right.
Well, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You don't want them talking before they've had their breakfast, David.
Right? No, the Falcons are on line 1. First off, I can't talk to them now. Secondly, I haven't eaten. Trust me, they don't want to deal with me when I'm hungry. That'll cost them more money. Just don't insult our intelligence. Come on now.
What would you rather they do? Because I want to hear your solution, because the NFL free agency period is gold for not only for what we do, for the fans. Everybody seems to love this time of the year, but because there's a legal tampering period, and we've talked before that, it doesn't work in your world. Tell me how to solve it. Because we've talked about baseball doing exactly what football does. Talking about, basketball is a similar thing that goes on every year. So fix it.
Well, they don't want to.
Well, no, I don't care if they want to. You don't like this, so give me.
I would be harsh on this. I would. I mean, I'd take away first-round picks for tampering. I would. I would not play around. I would give teams as much time as possible to keep their free agents. I would. Now, what the Broncos did, they gave Russ permission. They said, listen, we know we can't officially cut you till Wednesday. Okay. But yeah, go knock yourself out. Find the next place you're going to play. We're divorcing. You can start speed dating. Go. The paperwork won't be official till Wednesday, but, go. Now, if a team does that, then yeah, okay. Some teams have already cut guys. They're free agents. They don't have to wait, by the way. If you've already been cut, you don't have to wait. But that's all. Don't insult me. That's my whole thing. Just be honest with me. Like I'm Kenny Pickett showing up today. Mike, don't tell me there's a quarterback competition. Just tell me, are you keeping Mason Rudolph and you're getting rid of me entirely, or are you going to keep me? All right. Am I the hat and clipboard guy this year, or is it Mason?
And it's more than likely going to be you.
What I found interesting in this whole thing is Russ flew into Jersey and met with the Giants on his way to Pittsburgh. And see, I do believe this. I believe this was the Giants going, listen, if we weren't stuck with this Daniel Jones contract, we'd sign you now. But are you going to sign a 1-year deal with Pittsburgh or Minnesota? What are you thinking? Okay, because we'd be really interested in you in 2025, just so you know. So, okay, you're going to sign a 1-year deal? Because remember, Russ wanted to go to the Giants. His wife wanted to be in New York for her career. Okay, Russ wanted the limelight. Russ wanted either the Jets or the Giants 2 years ago. So, and I do think that that's still, hey, I still want to play for you. And they went, could you give us 1 year? We got to deal with this thing.
But with what they had to pay him, they could have brought him in if they really wanted him. I mean, for the $1.9 million or whatever the hell the contract is.
Yeah, they could have, but then it would have been, though, even though Daniel Jones may not be ready for the start of the season. That's another thing. But he is supposed to be healthy enough to play a good chunk, if not all of this year. But, Russ isn't going to play 3-4 games, and then when somebody's healthy, go to the bench. But this is interesting, though. This is fascinating to me in Pittsburgh. I mean, because not only are you announcing that Kenny Pickett is no longer your franchise quarterback, but you also have just said you're not picking up his 5th-year option. I mean, what? You're going to play Russ this year and then let Russ go and then pick up Pickett's 5th-year option and have him be your guy for 2 years? That'd be strange. Right? I mean, the odds are, let's just say Russ is a rental, Mark. He does a year. They're either going to have to pay him significant money to keep him around, or he walks and Pickett's got the final year of his rookie deal.
Those are the two choices right now. And I think you're spot on that there's no way Pittsburgh's going to sign Pickett for the 5th year now. That's what they said. But what are they doing for, after this year, what are they doing in the quarterback position? Where do they go? And it would, unless you believe that somehow Pickett can learn from Russ for a year and then put him back in there, but that doesn't make a whole hell lot of sense to the growth of a quarterback.
We're going to start you for a year and a half. Then listen, no, you're still our guy. You are. No, you're still our guy, Kenny. Kenny, just listen to me. You're still our guy. You're just not going to play this year. That's all. That's all. We think you would learn more by watching than by playing. Yeah, but I've already played 2 years. Yeah, I know. But that's why we're putting you on the bench for a year. Oh, I get it. Okay, yeah. I see where you're coming from. Hey, I give the Steelers credit. At least now they're admitting. They're like, yeah, he ain't ready. We tried. You know,
Are they
he
admitting
ain't
he's
good
not
enough.
ready? Are they admitting he can't play, that they think they made a mistake?
One or the other, but either way, they're like, you know what? We're done. I mean, Mark, they haven't won a playoff game since what? 7 years? 6 years? They haven't won a playoff game?
Yep.
And
think
they're
it's 7.
tired of it. And I'll bet you that was all part of Tomlin who entering the final year of his contract and when they sat down, and I'll bet you it was kind of like, listen, are we going to get serious about this or not? Can we take a look at the other quarterbacks that are in this conference?
You have to admit that these two personalities, that Tomlin and Russ, this doesn't look on paper like a good marriage to me, David.
Really?
One guy who wanted his own office and operates a certain way. That doesn't, I mean, that is so the opposite of how everything's done in Pittsburgh.
Well, that was Russ's out-of-body experience. That's when Russ got a little full of Russ. He
Russ
got
has
fat.
always been full of Russ.
I understand, but last year was humbling. They took his office away. They took his staff away. All right. Then even after, I mean, his numbers were, what do you have? Like 25 touchdowns and 8 interceptions? I mean, his numbers were fine. He didn't suck. Trust me. Desmond Ridder sucked. Hell, you could argue Kenny Pickett sucked. Daniel Jones sucked before he got hurt. Russ didn't suck. And Bryce Young sucked. Carolina sucked. Feel badly saying that about Bryce. We don't even know if the kid can play. Situation he was in. So
I'm just interested to see how this Tomlin Russ thing works. Because, like I said, on paper, to me, it doesn't look like this looks more like an arranged marriage than two parties that fell in love, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's because they saw who they were dating, and they went, "No, let's get the arranged marriage." Upon further review, let's put the arranged marriage together. We basically let our oldest son date on his own, and we don't like his choices.
What is this, Coming to America?
Is Tomlin Eddie Murphy?
Yes.
Who's Arsenio Hall?
Boy, I don't know.
Russ is definitely Arsenio.
Okay.
Right?
There you go.
I mean, Tomlin's just a little bit bigger of a star. That's all. Russ isn't even the biggest star in his real marriage.
Well, that is true.
That is true. This will be interesting how this is dealt with in Pittsburgh.
I agree. And listen, Joe Flacco was sitting on his couch in November, won comeback player of the year. You can't tell me that. Are we sure Russ is done? Maybe he just needed a detour. I just love it, though. Mark has never been a Russell Wilson guy, and he married a Pittsburgh family, and they're all in on the Steelers. And now they're married to Russ.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready to make March unforgettable? No, seriously. Get ready to be dazzled as Jason and Todd with the Diamond District invite you to their largest diamond event ever, featuring one of the world's largest diamond cutters, beginning Friday, March 15th, running through Sunday the 17th. Picture this, GIA certified diamonds ranging from 1 carat to a stunning 11 carat diamonds, all at the lowest prices you'll find anywhere. No, seriously, the lowest prices. And that's not all. A. Jaffe, one of America's top bridal designers, will be joining the Diamond District for this extraordinary event. Whether you're searching for that perfect engagement ring to symbolize your love or looking to treat yourself to a timeless piece of fine jewelry, the Diamond District has exactly what you need. With their wide selection of fine jewelry at unbeatable prices, you're sure to find something that will take your breath away. No, seriously. Don't miss out on the biggest diamond event of the year, Friday the 15th through Sunday the 17th.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. How about the Wild pulling their goalie in overtime in a regular season game?
That
yesterday?
was weird. That was really weird.
Oh, really?
They're playing Nashville. They pull their goalie in overtime. They win. They score.
Well, guess they really needed the 2 points.
The Wings. 6 wins in a row, and then just...
The
I mean, Larkin is hurt, but come on.
They also played Vegas.
Yeah.
I think they had a pretty good stretch of good teams they were playing. They get beat up by.
Well, didn't it start against the Panthers?
Right, Florida.
Yeah. Florida killed them. And then, who was it right after that? Someone else blew them out.
I think they played Colorado.
Yeah, you're right.
No, they lost to the Islanders. That was for Islanders, Panthers, Lanch. The Coyotes is unexplainable. And then they lost to
awful.
Vegas.
And they didn't do much at the deadline.
They didn't do anything at the deadline.
Larkin's out for another week, at least.
Yeah, the Panthers, the Avs. I thought Vegas had a really good deadline. Yeah, Empire, what I'm wondering is, can they get Sergachev back in the playoffs? I was really hoping the Wings would be the first wild card.
I just want them to get in now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like 6 forwards, 3 defensemen, and a goalie right now. The Lightning. I mean, Hedman's averaging just under 25 minutes a game. Trent, you got a play of the day?
Yes. It's a short one. I'm working with what I got here, but yes. It's more about the context than the actual play today.
Okay. So in other words, it's not very good. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's just not as good as it should be.
You could have run, any from Friday night or Saturday if you needed it a weekend
Yeah,
play of the day.
that's true. But I don't know. You'll see. It's not nothing special, but it's good conversation. Okay, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for being with us. We are Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on Twix. Twitter/X. Hey, what's our poll question?
Did you watch the Oscars? It's a very simple one.
Okay.
It was on last night. Yes or no. Right now, 2/3 no.
No. Huh.
I wanted to throw in a third option of, partial, and David was like, no, we're not doing
No. No, we don't care if you watched for 15 minutes or 3 hours. Did you watch? Yes or no? So, okay.
That's
And
our poll question. Really simple coming out of the gate. Ease us into a Monday.
And that's interesting also because, are we 3 yeses?
I did not.
Oh,
I'm
okay. So we're 2 and 1. Okay.
I'm a Grammys guy. I will always block off time to watch the Grammys. Oscars, not really my thing. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that I don't really see many of the movies. I'm not a David Sampson. I don't make it a point to go see all the Best Picture nominees and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, you need that $7-8 to bet on the Pistons.
The price of movies today, that's damn near a week of betting for Trent, especially if he gets some popcorn and a drink.
Yeah, no bueno. But, anytime, unless you're living under a rock, you see things on social media. It looked like a good show. I didn't watch.
So that's our poll question. Listen, I'll tell you what, send it to me. I can't find our Twitter handle. I had it. Now I lost it. So, send it to me so I can retweet it.
How hard? How hard can it be?
I'm searching. I'm searching. I can't find it.
Miller
_Moulton. I just said it. I know what it is.
Well, that baffles me that you know what the X Twitter handle is, and yet you can't find it.
Well, I don't know what to say. My phone's fighting back. I think my phone is heading downhill.
It's the phone's fault now.
I'm going to blame it on the phone.
Tech Time with David checking in today at 7:23 in the morning.
Yep.
Heading downhill. When was the last time you got an upgrade?
1984. Is that a problem?
Not at all, David.
I keep backing everything up into the cloud. I got a big ass cloud. Okay, that's what I'm telling you. I at least every time they say, "Hey, you gotta," okay, all right.
The cloud. What wasn't there a Rocky Balboa cloud reference at one point? I think it was in the Creed movie.
Oh boy, here he goes again.
Oh, here we go. Now we're going from one iconic thing to another.
You've lost me. Once you've gotten past the 5, I'm out.
We'll exit right. We're just going to completely veer off. We're not doing that.
But our poll question is very simple. Did you watch the Oscars last night? We've been talking a little bit of everything today, mainly football because, well, the Bucs signed Baker Mayfield. The Steelers signed Russell Wilson. Kirk Cousins will figure out who is going to tamper with him at noon today and
Mac
see if we hear
Jones.
anything there. Mac Jones is a Jag. So a lot of quarterbacks being moved. And with Chris Jones getting signed by the Chiefs, David, I mean, Wilkins is not going to be signed by the Dolphins, but that's going to be one of the – he's going to get paid.
Where did I hear Wilkins is going? That came out over the weekend that somebody – oh, yeah, he's definitely going to get paid.
He's going to get paid.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be 4 for a minimum 100. I don't know how much of it will be guaranteed. You know, he could probably get 3 years of it guaranteed. I'll bet you he's looking for 4 and 110 with 80 guaranteed.
After the Chris Jones contract, it seems like a reasonable number. And the Dolphins, don't you think they've got some work to do here in free agency with the way their offensive line is, losing Wilkins and the D? I mean, there's significant work that Miami has to do from a free agent standpoint.
Well, unless I missed something, I think they're still technically over the cap. I think they have 2 days worth of maneuvering to do just to get to the cap. So, yes, I thought the Dolphins would have been a lot more aggressive, quite frankly, pre-March 13th than they've been so far.
Well, and the roster is going to look different, but like Pat Kerwin said on Friday, they might look worse when you really stack it all up. And we'll see. For what it's worth, also, Dan Graziano was reporting that after the Chris Jones deal, Christian Wilkins obviously is a hot name, and the Texans and the Lions are 2 teams.
That was the team. It was the Lions. The Lions.
They've got money.
Here's the other thing with the Lions is if you're paying attention, and mock drafts are a dangerous thing, but forget who exactly to what teams. But this is one thing that most everyone believes. This draft is going to go quarterbacks, offensive linemen, wide receivers, heavy. That's all on one side of the ball. If you're in the 20s and you're looking for a defensive player, I mean, remember that Chop Robinson that I was going crazy over because he ran a sub 4.5 40, the edge rusher from Penn State? There's a lot of people that are doing their mock drafts and they're like, yeah, don't be surprised if he gets like real close to Detroit and Baltimore. Whoa, really? But think about it. Add up how many quarterbacks. I mean, they're talking minimum 7 offensive tackles.
And this is one of the best wide receiver drafts we've ever had.
Right.
That's the biggie.
They're talking 6 wide receivers, 7 tackles, and there's another guy who's a swing guy. So that makes 8. And then
in a minimum of 5 QBs.
Well, at least 4, right?
At least
I don't know about Knicks and Penix, but supposedly we're going to have, the big 3 of McCarthy. Well, just do the math there. 8, 6, and 4, that's 18. We haven't gotten to a defensive player yet. We damn near have 20 guys off the board.
Probably a conversation for another time, but the receivers, like Mark said, that I wonder, I'm curious if we're going to start seeing a version of the running back problem start to happen with receivers, because how many teams do you think believe they have a top 10 receiver? 17? So why would you go pay a guy when you can draft one?
Yeah, I don't think so for this reason. One, you need 3 receivers on the field most of the time now as opposed to 1 running back.
That's fair.
And also because of the way the game is played. So I don't believe we're going to go there. Now, whether or not they're going to keep paying number 1 receivers, what number 1 receivers are getting paid. Like that's one of the better
question. Yes.
That's one of the things with Jacksonville. Like people are looking at Jacksonville and going, man, they got a lot of nice players. I don't know if they have a number 1 anywhere. And the Jags have clearly said that to Ridley. Ridley's like, I'm going to get paid like a 1. And the Jags are like, not from us, you're not. And apparently the Patriots are willing to pay Ridley like a 1. Well, okay.
We don't pay him like a 1. We pay him more like a 3. It's not because we don't want to pay him like a 1. It's that we can't afford to pay him like a 1. He's Trent Bally, and it's time now for our Molly Maid play of the day.
Outstanding introduction. Check one more program off the list of teams that haven't made the tournament. On the men's side, the Stetson Hatters took down Austin P yesterday in the ASUN final for an automatic bid. And Jalen Blackman, remember the name, dropped 43 points for the Hatters. Here's one of his second half jumpers.
Here's a jumper, Blackman. He does it again. He's in the zone.
4.5 seconds, probably the shortest play of the day of all time. But it's more about Stetson. It's more about the Hatters making the tournament. They might be a 16 seed.
It might be.
Might be.
You got a
They're,
play-in game.
they're definitely in the play-in game.
Nonetheless, I had all my buddies on the hook yesterday. Tune in. Stetson, they're going for their first bid ever. First bid since the 70s. Shout out to them. That's all.
The Hatters.
And they were D2 in the early 70s the last time they were in the NCAA tournament. So this is Mark, they were one of 40 plus schools who have yet to appear in the NCAA Division I tournament. Cross them off.
Congratulations to the Stetson Hatters for making the dance and being part of our Molly Made play of the day. Thanks so much for listening. We are Miller and Moulton. And check us out at millerandmoulton.com.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Okay, I'm going to forward this to you guys. So Ray Fittipaldo just agreed to come on the show.
Okay.
What time?
Now.
Okay. Love it.
By the way, the 838 guest, that's a bit of a awkward thing. Been trying to get him. And then he gave him some, he said, okay, I'll do it. Then I gave him some, some options and made it seem like today at that time was his best. And, can we do it? And, timing wise, it wasn't ideal. I was kind of hoping for, late last week, but, kind of hoping for the middle of this week. But
for Miami football, you're talking about?
Yeah, he just wrote a piece though in which he just talking about year 3 for Cristobal.
Yep,
and
I read it this morning.
And the quarterback could make a big difference. And
all right, well, that'll work.
But the two biggest stories of the day, we'll have guests on back to back here.
Ray and Roy.
Sounds like a Vegas show. Is there magic involved? Are there tigers? What's going on? I know, Paul. It's an interesting theory that a quarterback can make a big difference.
Yeah, the two biggest realizations of the day. That quarterbacks can make a big difference, and coaches sometimes don't tell the truth. Who knew?
I know. You learn a lot listening to this show.
Educational.
I'm glad you got Ray because I was ready to go to Iditarod and the moose attacks. I don't know if you've read about this, but we have moose attacking dogs.
You can do that at 8:21, though.
Good.
Listen, with global warming, do we still do the Iditarod? Is it cold enough?
It is.
Okay.
They've had problems in the past few years, though, with lack of snow. You're right.
That's only being somewhat sarcastic. But if given the opportunity to be sarcastic, I'm going to take it.
So when they do the shootout at the tournament, all the flight winners play alternate shot to determine one winner. And they do it all in the ninth hole. They put a tee in the middle of the fairway. They started as a par 3. They move it to like the black tees, the white tees, and the blue tees until it's done. And there are, and I'm not joking, there's a few hundred people that gather around the carts and drink, and all the members.
Yeah.
And our teaching pro runs the microphone, Bob Prang, and he really thinks he's something. And I like Bob. Bob's a nice guy, but Bob thinks he's gifted with the microphone.
And he's not?
He's okay.
Right.
I mean, the head pro has no desire to do it. So, but I'm sitting with a group of guys, and I mean, we are just abusing
Bob.
Oh, because he runs all these free clinics, and I'm like, every time he talks, and I want to remind you about the free short game clinic on Tuesday.
Hey, listen, I'm just glad they didn't put you to work. Say we got a guy here who makes his living talking into a microphone.
Oh, if they would have, it would have been bad news because
you were probably hooked on phonics for a while.
I drink from the time I get to the tournament until the time I leave.
So, in other words, these golfers would have gotten a scouting report. Now here's Tony. Tony says he's an 11. We know he's a 6.
We got Ray. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Roy Cummings, who covers the Bucs, will join us at the top of the hour. We'll talk a little college football 1 hour from now. Ray Fittipaldo, kind enough to join us on very short notice. A breaking story overnight. The Steelers signed Russell Wilson. He covers the Steelers for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Follow Ray on Twix, Twitter/X at RayFit with 2 T's, RayFit1. RayFit1. Ray, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this, particularly on 4 minutes notice. How are you?
Good morning, guys. A little bit of a busy night and busy morning, but yeah, it's been an interesting 6 to 7 hours or so. That's for sure.
Well, we were kind of wondering. So, were you in your pajamas watching the Oscars? Were you out to dinner with family and friends? I mean, you know how teams love to do this to beat writers, you know.
Well, it's funny. I do a TV show that airs Sunday nights once in a while on a local TV station. We taped at 8 o'clock last night, got home, and then wouldn't you know, the news broke in the middle of the show that we had just taped. So I guess that's TV. That's the medium that we live in. So Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to go back and retape it again today.
All right, so obviously Russell Wilson's now going to be with the Steelers. This means he's the starter, correct? There's not going to be a quarterback competition. Russ is getting the job, right?
Yeah, listen, I have a hard time believing that Russell Wilson was going to sign anywhere this offseason unless he was, I don't want to say promised, but unless he was given certainties that he could at least win this competition, probably in relative easy fashion. Russ was just on a podcast maybe a week or two ago, said he wanted to win multiple Super Bowls before he hung him up, and there's just no way he's going to sign with the Steelers or any other team if that wasn't a possibility. Now, the Steelers will probably frame it as a competition because Kenny Pickett is still under contract. He's a first-round pick, but I think your instinct is right. I think Russell will be the starter in 2024, barring some kind of disaster training camp on his part.
This is very un-Steeler-like, though, isn't it? To make a move like this? I mean, we kind of like it, but they don't normally operate this way, do they?
Well, you know what this is? I think they have an aging core of veterans that I think they want to do right by. Cam Hayward is going to turn 35 in a month or two. TJ Watt's going to turn 30 this year. Minka Fitzpatrick isn't getting any younger. So they have this core of veterans that they still believe is very good, but they haven't been able to get it done with them. And they really struggled to fill the quarterback position since Ben Roethlisberger left. So I think this is probably one last-ditch chance, try to get those guys in position, make a run in the AFC. And I understand, and the AFC is still stacked. I mean, you still got to get through Mahomes. The Ravens are going to be good with Lamar Jackson. There are a ton of good quarterbacks, not only in the AFC, but in the AFC North. So I just think they view this as a one-year chance to maybe make a run with a core that's been very good for them and to give them a fighting chance in the playoffs rather than what we've seen the last couple of years when they've gone in the playoffs, but they haven't really been a threat to win it all.
How do you see the relationship between Tomlin and Russ going? These are two really strong personalities, but this on paper to me seems more like an arranged marriage than two guys that fell in love, if you know what I mean. How do you see this? How do you see this working?
Yeah, that's going to be the big part of this equation is, Russ hasn't always been easy to get along with. We saw what happened with Sean Payton. We've heard things in Seattle about how Russell maybe had some strained relationships with some of the stars on that team. I just think it was a risk the Steelers were willing to take given the circumstances. And when you factor in that he's taking up less than 1% of their salary cap, it's almost like, what do we got to lose? I compare this to what the Bengals are paying Joe Burrow, what the Browns are paying Deshaun Watson, and what Lamar Jackson is getting paid by the Ravens. They're eating up a good portion of those salary caps. Russ is eating up next to nothing. So if it doesn't work out, Steelers could walk away from this and be no worse for the wear. So from that aspect of this, it's almost like it's a no risk move by the Steelers. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you move on to 2025, and you probably draft a quarterback early in that draft.
Russ signed a one-year, $1.21 million deal. It's the absolute veteran minimum for a guy of his tenure can sign. He'll get $38 million in cash from the Broncos, but it only counts $1.2 million for the Steelers against the cap. Ray, if they get good quarterback play, not great, but good quarterback play, is that a good offense, or is that line still a big problem?
Yeah, listen, I still think this is a team that's built around the defense, but Cumber's not there on offense. They've spent a lot of draft resources on restocking that offense in recent years. You have a good running back tandem in Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. You got George Pickens, who is a very good deep threat on the outside. Deontay Johnson, their other receiver, has 1 year left on his contract. So it's an okay, maybe above average group of skill players. And I don't think they need them to score 28 points a game. I think with that defense, I think last year they were bottom five. They averaged maybe 18 points a game. If they could just average 23, 24 points a game and really play with the same approach that Russell did in 2013 when he won it with the Seahawks, lean on the running game like they did with Marshawn Lynch. I don't think this is a second coming of the Legion of Boom defense, but I still think it could be a top 10 defense. So I think under those circumstances, I think they can make it work. And say what you want about Russ, but he can still throw a pretty deep ball. And if he can click with George Pickens, I think that has potential to be a nice combination for the Steelers this coming season.
Well, they obviously answered their biggest concern, filling the quarterback position. But, Ray, what's next for the Steelers with free agency starting? Where do they need to go?
Oh, man, they got a ton of holes. They need a starting slot corner. They need a starting outside corner. They need a starting inside linebacker. They need a starting center. Now, yes, some of those are going to be addressed in the draft, but a lot of those have to be addressed in free agency as well. And that's why Russ signing for the vet minimum is so important. They're going to have 35 to 40 million in cap space to address some of these issues, and they're going to need it to fortify that defense, for the season.
Can Kenny Pickett overcome this, or is this effectively the end of Kenny Pickett? Because in theory, Russ plays pretty well. They're not going to pick up then Pickett's fifth-year option. So next year, whether Russ is there or not, Kenny's on the final year of a deal. I mean, Ray, did they just announce that we made a mistake with our first-round pick of 2 years ago?
Yeah, it feels that way, guys. Although I will say this, he never got a chance to sit and learn under a veteran starter. Look at what Aaron Rodgers did and Jordan Love did. I mean, those guys really benefited from learning behind a vet. Kenny Pickett was thrust into the starting role 3.5 games into his rookie season. So, maybe there's a scenario where he sits and learns, and maybe this is a good thing for him professionally to develop. But, I mean, I tend to agree with you. I think in the end, whether this works out with Russ or not, they're going to be in the market for a long-term answer next offseason. So, unfortunately for Kenny, it certainly seems like this might be the end of the line for him as a starter in Pittsburgh.
Ray Fittipaldo covers the Steelers, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at RayFit with 2 T's, RayFit1. RayFit1. Ray, thanks for doing this, particularly on short notice. Good luck retaping that last half of the show, and we'll talk after free agency.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Ray Fittipaldo, kind enough to join us on short notice with the news overnight. Happened right around midnight that Russell Wilson's a Steeler.
And as he said, they get him for the league minimum, so it allows them in free agency to go out and still acquire players, obviously the draft as well. So I don't know, where do you think this puts Pittsburgh in the division right now? You are always higher on the Steelers than I think most.
Mm-hmm.
And they let you down last year. You had them picked to win the division. Things did not go according to plan because quarterback didn't play well enough, quite frankly. So where are they in this division, which could be the best in the league?
Well, I think it is the best in the league. Everybody finished above 500 last year. The Browns did it with their playing, 4 or 5 quarterbacks. The Bengals even did it with Burrow missing over half the season. And the Steelers won 10 games, averaging 18 points a game. I mean, this division's ridiculous how good it is. By the way, how about the move the Browns made over the weekend? Getting Judy from Denver for a 5th and a 6th. Think about this. The Browns the last couple years, because they had cap room, were able to get Amari Cooper because the Cowboys were like, we got to get rid of him. We can't afford him. And they said, we'll give you a fifth. And they got Amari Cooper. Now here's the Broncos desperately trying to unload Judy and his money. And they said, well, we'll give you a fifth 1 year, sixth. And they're like, oh, please take him. That's a pretty good wide receiving core for 2 5s and a 6. Nick Chubb comes back. Njoku, the year he had at tight end. A good offensive line. I mean, Deshaun Watson has no excuses. None. But you asked about the Steelers. I mean, listen, the other thing that Ray didn't talk about, they got 2 tight ends. They got the Cleveland kid from Georgia and Freiermuth. I mean, that's why I was so high on them, Mark. I thought if Kenny Pickett can play at all, this is a really good team. They're a playoff team, put it that way. With Mike Tomlin, they're a playoff team.
Look at the coaches in that division. Kind of a side tangent, but like, who's the best coach?
Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin.
Then Harbaugh, then Stefanski, who just won Coach of the Year, is the 3rd best coach in that division. That's crazy.
Not only that, he's been Coach of the Year twice, I think.
Right.
In the last 3-4 years.
I just find that interesting. You talk about how stacked the division is.
That division is loaded. One other thing, he was talking about the quarterbacks that got to sit and learn. Remember, Mahomes only played the final game of the regular season his rookie year. Alex Smith spent 10 months nurturing Mahomes on and off the field. And then they handed the ball to Mahomes and traded Smith to Washington.
And Pittsburgh obviously did not handle their quarterback situation the way they wanted to, and it turned out to be the wrong way with Pickett. We talked about Mac Jones, who everything went wrong with him in New England. He got dealt to Jacksonville. Not much went right for Justin Fields as far. I mean, they went through coordinators, and now he's getting moved.
And with Mac Jones getting a 6th, I mean, Fields is in the same position, right? I mean, same draft.
Right.
By the way, think of the quarterbacks in that draft. Zach Wilson was picked 2nd. He's a bust. He ain't going to be on the Jets. Trey Lance has already been traded by the Niners. Justin Fields about to be traded, and Mac Jones has been traded. 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 15. Trevor Lawrence went 1, but there were 4 other quarterbacks taken in the next 14 picks. They're all not going to be on the teams that drafted them 3 years ago.
And not just that, Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence are going to be on the same team.
Well, and Trevor Lawrence, this is a big prove-it year for him. He's not panned out to a 1 overall pick.
Not yet. He went a little sideways last year. The way he finished his 2nd year, we were all like,
oh yeah.
But no, he went sideways last year. There's no doubt.
Most of it due to injury, but we'll see how he comes back from all of that.
Mark, I don't want to say he's a big deal in Jacksonville, but they actually have him in the ads for the Players' Championship here. Just watching the golf, they made sure to put 2 seconds of Trevor Lawrence in the ad. That's how big he is.
Miller and Moulton. I'll tell you what. We'll see how big he is if he has the same kind of year this year as he did last year.
Come see Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Trevor Lawrence. Watch them.
Desperate to sell tickets for the Players, I guess. Roy Cummings coming up next to talk about the Bucs. Baker Mayfield re-signs. We'll get Roy's take on it next on Miller and Moulton.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready to make March unforgettable? No, seriously. Get ready to be dazzled as Jason and Todd with the Diamond District invite you to their largest diamond event ever, featuring one of the world's largest diamond cutters, beginning Friday, March 15th, running through Sunday the 17th. Picture this, GIA certified diamonds ranging from 1 carat to a stunning 11 carat diamonds, all at the lowest prices you'll find anywhere. No, seriously, the lowest prices. And that's not all. A. Jaffe, one of America's top bridal designers, will be joining the Diamond District for this extraordinary event. Whether you're searching for that perfect engagement ring to symbolize your love or looking to treat yourself to a timeless piece of fine jewelry, the Diamond District has exactly what you need. With their wide selection of fine jewelry at unbeatable prices, you're sure to find something that will take your breath away. No, seriously. Don't miss out on the biggest diamond event of the year, Friday the 15th through Sunday the 17th.
At the Diamond District.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you send Roy a link?
Oh, crap. No, I didn't. Doing it right now. Come on. Finished second in the flight, Michael. Missed the wild card spot by 1/10 of a point. I need to check into rehab.
It's a little drama going down the hall. It's just two people yelling at each other. I don't know what's going on.
Nice. Now that's what we're talking about.
Sorry about that, Roy.
It's okay, man. We've done this so much that you can do it in that quick a time. 10 seconds.
That's what happens. I take 2 days off. I forget how to do the show.
I know how that is. I take a few days off. I forget how to write. How are you guys?
Doing great. Yourself?
All good.
Great. You look good.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. As
See
do
how
you.
tan Mark is? He's playing a little 3-4 day golf thing. Look at him.
See that.
All right, looks good.
He's one of those guys who can tan. I'm one of those who can't.
I can see you getting red, Roy.
Rosacea, I'm sure. Spend as little time in the sun as I can.
It won't warm up enough in Jacksonville, to be honest. Like we had 2 days, and we're back in the 60s yesterday and today. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, same here in Tampa. It's been a consistent summer or winter. Cold weather.
Yeah, I'm not
all
a
the way
fan.
through.
I miss my Southwest Florida. Once the weather breaks, it's that way till Thanksgiving, man. Let's
Yeah.
go.
I've
I gotta
actually
tell you,
kind of
I gotta-
enjoyed it myself.
It cool. Like this morning was 8 to 10 degrees cooler though, because it's says 57. I walked out to walk the dog after the last 4 days, and it's been close to 70. I went, oh, we're getting another week of weather like this. I'm down.
Yeah, another few days. I don't mind another few days.
I'm with you.
As we all know, the summers are so brutal that it's not a bad thing to have a couple of days where it's or a good stretch where it's comfortable.
Very quickly, in our Twitch chat room, somebody wants to know your take on the Cubs. Go.
Feeling a lot better since they got Cody Bellinger back. I can tell you that. Not sure about the starting pitching. Would have loved to have seen him get someone there, but I think they're good enough to compete in the division. Top 3 in the division, no matter how it goes, and someone will surprise there. I believe top 2 in the division. Should be a better than 500 club.
Here we go.
Defensively as good as anybody in the league.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the final hour of the show along the network. The Diamond District bonus hour for our loyal 239 audience is an hour away. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on Twix. Roy Cummings covered the Bucs for a long time. He's been gracious for a long time to come on our show and talk about the Bucs. You can follow Roy on Twix at rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. First off, how are you? How you been?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back, guys. Been a while.
And when you look at the Baker Mayfield deal, 3 years, $100 million plus incentives, 50 guaranteed. Is that a 1-year deal to you? Is that a 2-year deal to you? When you look at that contract, how big of a commitment do you see it?
I see it as a 2 to 3 year commitment. Look, clearly he's going to be your quarterback next year, and barring some kind of catastrophe, probably will be the year after that. So, and then you see how it goes, see where you're at. Again, young guy still, lots of experience under his belt already. Again, I still think this is a perfect scenario for the Bucs. This is exactly what they were hoping for. When you first signed Baker Mayfield, you had a best case scenario. Well, guess what? This is it. And he proved last year that he's worthy of another contract. Probably top 15 in the quarterback class right now in the league, if not higher than that. You take your chances going forward on a contract that's comfortable for him, comfortable for the team, workable within your salary cap despite your limits. Spend a couple of years not having to worry about the quarterback position, build other places, and see what falls to you in some places. So I like it. I think it's a great deal for him, and it's good. It's a good deal for Baker.
Well, and this all started, Roy, as you pointed out a long time ago. They're going to keep Evans, and they kept Evans, and they're going to keep Baker, and they kept Baker. This was, I don't want to say a package deal, but this seemed inevitable once they re-signed Mike Evans.
I think in a lot of ways, I think one had to do with the other. I don't know that Baker Mayfield stays if Mike Evans does, and I don't know that Mike Evans stays if he knows that the Bucs aren't going to somehow make it happen that Baker Mayfield stays. They work so well together. I think they really came to respect each other over the course of the last season. Obviously, they have a great chemistry, and I think they're excited to continue to work together. You could make the argument that Baker Mayfield hasn't had that kind of a weapon, a consistent weapon, in his arsenal in the past, and so why wouldn't he want to be here now that he's got that again? And again, Baker with Mike Evans, rather, I said all along he wants to be a Buccaneer going forward, long-term career. This is where he wants to be. There was a lot of scenarios where people thought, go home, go to Houston, play for the Texans, and why not? With what they've got going on there. But still, at the end of the day, Mike Evans wanted to be a Buccaneer, and I'm glad he is. Good for the team.
Well, they had 3 big free agent questions a month ago. They signed 2 and they tagged the other. Okay, now what do they do? I mean, I heard talk in the last 24 hours, they may be in a position where they have to or they want to trade some guys. They've got depth in their secondary. Roy, are they really going to trade Carlton Davis and, others out of that secondary? I like their secondary.
Yeah, here's how Jason Light looks at it. What's in the draft? Where are they picking? And can you get as good or better on a younger contract rather than holding on to some guys if you can get pieces for them? Jason Light loves to package, third, fourth, and fifth round draft picks. Loves to double up on those things because he that's where the value is in the draft, and he does a good job of finding guys in those mid rounds. So I think it's possible. I don't think they want to make that trade unless it works out for them. Obviously, it's not something they have to do, but I think it's something that they're, certainly contemplating because this team's got to get a little bit better in some areas. Obviously, I mean, the Bucs were really at the end of the day. I mean, without Baker Mayfield, they were a 500 football team last year. The defense, ebbed and flowed. Had days where it was really strong and days where it wasn't strong at all. So they've got to get better, and there's ways to do it. The draft is the best way. I don't think they're going to be really active in free agency. This is considering the cap. They might add a piece or two here, maybe a middle of the line offensive lineman. But at the end of the day, I don't think they spend a whole lot of money. I think the more is looked at just stockpiling draft picks, and that's maybe Carlton Davis is one way to help them do that.
Well, and I'm with you, Roy. Free agency, if you want to put the free agency in tiers of that first tier of the big name players, and then the second tier, and then the third tier of the bargains, I think the Bucs will be working well into the summer to try to fill these roster spots because where they are cap wise, they're going to have to do a little bargain shopping, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And you know what? Again, that's okay because this is something they're pretty good at. You could say this for every team, but the Bucs especially. You typically go to training camp with with two or three guys who weren't drafted, who look pretty darn good. They do a really good job of recruiting guys in those late rounds, saying, "Hey, if you don't get drafted, we've got a place for you here. You've got an opportunity here." And depending on the position, it's usually the case. So. I think they'll do that again. It's something they're strong at, something they do rather well. So I think we'll see it again. I'm anxious to see what they do in the draft. It's going to be a good one for them, I think.
Talking Tampa Bay Bucks with Roy Cummings. Follow him on Twix at rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. Question in our Twitch chat room wants you to talk about the running back situation. Do they have a number 2 running back on the team right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, they do. You could certainly make
that doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement.
No, and here's the other thing. Look, this is still a team that is controlled in a lot of ways by, they don't want to overpay for running backs. That's the thing. I think they really like, Chase Edmonds, but what are you going to do? He's not your guy. No, they'll draft. I think they'll draft somebody. That's why a Carlton Davis trade, if it's for a 4th or 5th round pick, is important because you can package that pick, maybe get back up into the 3rd round, maybe in 2nd round, and get somebody to kind of challenge Rachaad White. I don't think they're happy with the group right now. Sean Tucker showed us a little bit, but not enough last year. That's an area that has to be shored up, no doubt about it. And I don't think that they're completely sold on Rachaad White yet as a number 1. He might be the number 2. That's kind of why I was hedging, because maybe he's the number 2 because you can do better. You could do a heck of a lot worse too, but you could do better. But he really seemed to find his groove there second half of the season and beyond. And let's not forget the fact, really good coming out of the backfield as a pass catcher. So I like Rachaad White, but I'm not sure he's still a number 1 for them. I think they'd like to find somebody who can really challenge him.
Well, was it Rachaad White or was it the offensive line, Roy? I mean, at the end of the day, I think that line's got to get a little bit better because there wasn't, as you said, their running game was passing the ball to Rachaad White. They couldn't run it between the tackles. And I don't know how much is that on him or how much of that's on the line.
Yeah, in both cases, look, all throughout the season, at the beginning of the year, when Rachaad White was really struggling, to me, it was a bit of both. The offensive line was not getting any push. They were horrible. They really did nothing for him, but he didn't do much for himself either. He wasn't hitting the high. He wasn't playing with confidence. Wasn't hitting the line with any momentum. He wasn't really pushing the pile. He's got to be better at that. He got better at that late in the season. I think as a pass catcher, he kind of found his groove a little bit and developed his confidence, and that started to show in the second half of the season. But that's when the offensive line got a little bit better. They made a couple of changes, and they were important changes, and I think that helped. But I think Rachaad White I think he's, for whatever reason, he needed last year to kind of figure things out. I think he's figured things out now. I'd be surprised if he has a slow start, this coming season, as long as he's healthy. And I think the offensive line, it's got to get better. That's an area where, again, I still think your first-round draft pick, if it's me, that's where I'm looking. I'm looking to fortify that. And you know what? Who knows? Depending on what is there, again, I just said that they don't want to. Bruce Arians is a guy who doesn't want to overpay for draft picks. He's still got a lot of say in this organization, or overpay for running backs. I don't know that they would spend a first-round pick on one, but if one's sitting there where they land, that's a possibility.
By the way, I think they're going to do the exact same draft as last year. I think they're going to take the best defensive linemen on the board. We were just talking about this, Roy. Offensive tackles, wide receivers, and quarterbacks. 18 to 20 of them they think are going to go in the first round. Well, the Bucs are picking 26th. That's a lot of good defensive players that are going to fall. I think an edge rusher. I mean, I don't know if Verse of Florida State falls, but I think Chop Robinson could fall to them at 26. I think they go edge rusher in the first round, and then they come back with best offensive linemen, maybe plug them in at center or guard with the second round, like they did last year when they took the kid from North Dakota State, and then they take cornerbacks and running backs and everything else later on.
Yeah, I won't argue with that. Again, the way this draft is setting up, and it's hard to really follow the mocks because they're always so off the mark, really, at the end of the day. But the way this one is setting up is there is an awful lot of defensive talent at the end, just as you said. I like it. I like it in a lot of ways for him, not just edge rusher, but I think there's some defensive tackles, even a linebacker that they could take at that spot. And again, don't be surprised if there's 4 or 5 guys sitting there that the Bucs like, and not one that they're just so enamored with that they can't wait to get the card in. Jason Light will trade down. He'll trade down 4 or 5 spots and give up the first round pick, take get a second round pick early in the draft if you can do it, and double up. So yeah, the D line is still an area that needs to be fortified. Again, Kancey sure looked good at the end of last year, but they need a dynamic guy. They need a guy who's going to make everybody wake up. Right now, Vita Vea, he's still sort of that guy. Didn't really play at that level, consistently last year, but he's still that guy. He's a just a premier nose tackle in a 3-4 scheme. But at the end of the day, they need a guy on the edge who can really get there, and I think it's going to be there for him at the draft.
We thought we'd call Roy and talk to him before the Cubs season got underway because his availability and his being able to keep his head in the game, it starts to waver once the baseball season gets underway. So we may check in with Roy before the month is up as well, because then we may lose him for a while. Roy, all the best. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoyed it as always.
Roy Cummings, R Cummings FHCN is how you follow him on Twix, Twitter/X, R Cummings FHCN.
Well, there you go. A little Bucs preview, a little Steelers preview before that. Talk a little college football coming up in 15, 20 minutes here.
Yeah, I know it's March. I know there's madness. Mark, do you know what it is 24/7, 365 on Miller and Moulton?
It's football season, David. It's football season.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready to make March unforgettable? No, seriously. Get ready to be dazzled as Jason and Todd with the Diamond District invite you to their largest diamond event ever, featuring one of the world's largest diamond cutters, beginning Friday, March 15th, running through Sunday the 17th. Picture this: GIA certified diamonds ranging from 1 carat to a stunning 11 carat diamonds, all at the lowest prices you'll find anywhere. No, seriously, the lowest prices. And that's not all. A. Jaffe, one of America's top bridal designers, will be joining the Diamond District for this extraordinary event. Whether you're searching for that perfect engagement ring to symbolize your love or looking to treat yourself to a timeless piece of fine jewelry, the Diamond District has exactly what you need. With their wide selection of fine jewelry at unbeatable prices, you're sure to find something that will take your breath away. No, seriously. Don't miss out on the biggest diamond event of the year, Friday the 15th through Sunday the 17th.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. So he's not there, so there's really no sense of asking or talking to David about anything. But apparently the Bears are shifting their quest to build a new dome stadium away from Arlington Heights and plan to invest $2 billion to fund a new publicly owned lakefront stadium in Chicago, a source confirmed to ESPN.
Coming in 2035. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it with the Bears. I don't know. Haven't they been talking about this for like 10 years?
Yeah.
The Arlington Heights one. Soldier Field is such a dump. I've never been, so I shouldn't say that, but like that's all the players hate it.
Well, that's what it's saying, Adam. Well, you know. It was good. We finished second in our flight. Not as well as I would have liked, but we had a good week. Thanks for asking, Larry. So the Bears announced 2 hours ago they're going to put $2 billion towards a downtown lakefront stadium. The Arlington thing's out. That's according to a source. We'll see.
Yeah, I would have gone to Arlington. Did you see the Jamie Lee Curtis tweet?
No.
Fly in, get fluffed and folded, present at Oscars, go to In-N-Out Burger, fly home. She was like first thing after the monologue.
Oh, yeah.
So she was,
She is so funny. Like
Mobile-
genuinely funny.
Mobile betting in North Carolina launches at noon. Does Jake know?
Oh, yeah. He's been waiting. He's been chomping at the bit because it's taken so long since they've legalized it to finally get it
Off the ground. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on Twitch, Twix, Twitter, whatever. Miller_Moulton. So there. Jesse Simonton covers college football. He'll join us in a little more than 15 minutes time. Hey, you got a break. Is it breaking or developing? What would you call it?
Developing.
All right.
Developing. It just looks as if now the Bears are going to shifting their stadium plans away from Arlington Heights. A $2 billion lakefront dome stadium south of Soldier Field is the news that's out for the future of the Bears.
I would have gone to Arlington. And I'm not trying to alienate, people of Chicago or whatever, but I don't know. I've been in to a few Bears games around the area, and I know it's cool, walk to the game and all that. I don't know. Maybe it's also because, the team I root for or did growing up, they left the city and built out in the suburbs, and it was fine. Everybody, they went to the game.
And I watched when the team that I wouldn't say rooted for, but had to follow because of network obligations, moved to Pontiac, and the hype of them moving back downtown to Detroit was a big deal. It was really Ford Field, and Trent, you can attest to this far more than I can because you were still there, or so that was a huge deal to the Lions going back downtown. That new stadium and coming downtown added everything to Lions fandom. So I see both sides.
David, is Soldier Field as bad as the players say it is?
Well, it's small. I could totally understand why ownership is. I mean, the fact that they redid that and that's how they redid it was such a mistake. I mean, it's small, not enough suites. It's not a stadium for the 2030s and beyond. It just isn't. I mean, like Chicago should have one of the 5 smallest stadiums in the NFL. Are you serious? That's ridiculous. But if you're going to do a stadium, see, Mark, I'm one of those where if I owned the Bears, that dome would be open almost all the time. I mean, if we had a Dolphins-Chiefs playoff type weather, where, by the way, have you seen the stories about people who went to the game and the amputations of body parts that now, there's dozens of people who have had body parts amputated who went to the Dolphins-Chiefs game, by the way. That's now coming out because of the frostbite. But, I mean, I would close the roof if we got, deadly, dangerous weather like that. But I would no. We're in Chicago, bad weather. No, you come here, you take the elements with it. But I'd build a dome. Why? Super Bowls, NCAA Final Fours,
Big Ten championship.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, this dome stadium in Chicago is not good news for Indianapolis.
You are right about that.
Because if you're the Big Ten, with all the additions of the West Coast, so really we're going to stay in Indianapolis. We can go to a brand new $2 billion stadium in Chicago.
But it's funny though, Mark. I wouldn't want the dome for the Bears unless the weather was dangerous. I would want the dome for the Super Bowl and for Final Fours and, like you said, and football and basketball Big Ten championships. Although if a basketball might be asking a bit much, but you never know. Although put it this way, goodness knows they could have put Caitlin Clark in the women's Big Ten title game in a dome.
Well, I mean, you bring up a really good point, though. It's Chicago.
Well, but I'm not seeing retractable. I mean, they're just starting this, but, I just see domed. I don't see
I know.
Dome.
I know. There's a part of me, though, really. I mean, the Bears are going to play in a dome.
Yeah, I know.
Don't you have to? I mean, come on. And once you're spending $2 billion, what's another couple $100 million to make it retractable? Put that sucker on wheels. Come on, let's go.
So that happening this morning. We've already talked Pittsburgh Steeler football with Russ signing with the Steelers. Talked a little Bucks there with Roy Cummings.
Speaking of the Bears and whether they're going to go dome or not. So you got this Iditarod story?
Yeah.
Because when I think of the Bears and weather, Iditarod, we're close.
So we've had moose attacks at the Iditarod this year.
Huh.
It's apparently, it's not the first time that's happened.
I would think not. It's in Alaska.
I did not ever realize that moose would attack dogs. And we have had moose attacks.
Yeah, that's not something that I would ever put together in my head. Moose attacking a dog.
According to the AP, Dallas Seavey, he's a 5-time winner who set the course record in 2021, informed race officials that he used a handgun on his sled to shoot and kill an aggressive moose he encountered on the trail in the middle of the night, 14 miles away from the checkpoint.
They are big. They're massive.
This Seavey had to suffer a big setback because, as race rules mandate, anyone who kills an animal in self-defense must stop and gut and dress it before they're allowed to continue. That's a roadblock right there.
How about this? A little early edition of the Good, Bad, and Ugly.
I don't know which one that is. You got a moose attacking your dogs. You shoot the moose, and then you got to gut the moose and dress the moose.
It is a lot. It's a lot to unpack right there.
Man, that sounds like a full day right there.
It really does.
Man.
Got even more respect for these Iditarod mushers.
Never mind the dogs. Hey, get faster and avoid the moose. Keep going. By the way, they ever going to do the Iditarod in a dome, or is that always going to be?
That's got to be an outdoor event, David.
An outdoor event? Because
right.
Let me tell you, that'd be a lot of laps, wouldn't it? That'd be like the night race at Bristol. Man, that'd be a lot of left turns, don't you think?
That would get boring after a while.
I would think so.
But no moose.
Got that going for you. Which for the dogs are like, hey, give me the boring. And the pit stops also. Okay, I could use a snack.
Trying to think of, if you had some sort of race through the Everglades where you could get attacked by an alligator, I mean, there's not a lot of racing that goes on where the threats come from wildlife.
Don't we just have to live in Florida and just kind of, wait for them to find you?
You can run a few relay races on golf courses around certain communities. That would be interesting.
Right. Do snakes count also?
Probably.
Yeah. For you and I, it certainly does.
That's just as big of a threat to the two of us, David.
Sure is. You know what? We're starting to like this dome life a lot better the more I talk about it.
Maybe Chicago should have a dome after all.
You know what? Forget the retractable.
What do
Miller
you
and
think the
Moulton.
biggest wildlife threat is in Chicago? Rats?
Rats or coyotes?
I was going
No.
to say the politicians, but you know,
Wow.
starting a little early, Ed, huh?
That is remarkable.
That's a really good line, David.
I don't know. That's
Fits the city really well.
It,
I don't think there's anybody from Chicago that denies what you
No.
just said right there. They're like, you know what? It's a dadgum good
in
point.
fact, they said it faster than I did. Oh boy. All right. Well, we'll go back to talking football. Maybe we'll ask Jesse Simonton of On 3. Maybe we'll ask him about Moose. But otherwise, we'll ask him about the Hurricanes. Is this their year? You know, where they're back.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready to make March unforgettable? No, seriously. Get ready to be dazzled as Jason and Todd with the Diamond District invite you to their largest diamond event ever, featuring one of the world's largest diamond cutters, beginning Friday, March 15th, running through Sunday the 17th. Picture this, GIA certified diamonds ranging from 1 carat to a stunning 11 carat diamonds, all at the lowest prices you'll find anywhere. No, seriously, the lowest prices. And that's not all. A. Jaffe, one of America's top bridal designers, will be joining the Diamond District for this extraordinary event. Whether you're searching for that perfect engagement ring to symbolize your love or looking to treat yourself to a timeless piece of fine jewelry, the Diamond District has exactly what you need. With their wide selection of fine jewelry at unbeatable prices, you're sure to find something that will take your breath away. No, seriously. Don't miss out on the biggest diamond event of the year, Friday the 15th through Sunday the 17th.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, a moment of vindication a few seconds ago. So my wife doesn't carry a lot of cash on her, and she has to head downtown. She's starting a new job. It's a long story. I don't want to get into it. So she's starting a new job within the same hospital system that she was a part of. And she's got to park. And so I took out a decent amount of cash and gave it to her. And she, of course, said to me, I don't need this much cash to park. And I said, you haven't paid for parking lately, have you? I go, it's like in the top 5 in terms of price increases. It's kind of like up there with college tuition. She's like, I don't need this much money. She just texted me back and she said, holy blank, it's going to cost $45 to park all day. Really? Huh. Who knew? Once again, we're men, we're idiots. What do we know?
All we do is talk about sports and watch sports. We don't know anything about the real world.
I can't believe parking costs that much.
It was so bad when I lived in Nashville. Oh my God. I mean, you can't go anywhere. I couldn't, at least. I can't afford to park my car. It's cheaper to Uber.
Well, it's one of my big pet peeves. Pay for parking. It's another reason why the whole FGCU thing, I mean, they don't even charge to park. How they have not gotten that word out. Well, they haven't gotten the word out about anything. But
well,
I mean, with what you have to pay in the 239 to park at any sporting event.
JetBlue is free this year. Or it's like included in the ticket, I think, is how they how they get away with it, how they get around it.
Well,
but you just drive right in.
Well, that's smart also because that's how the traffic, creating a problem on Daniels. Yeah.
So I did discover one thing. My partner puts ketchup on his hot dogs. I don't know if I can have him back next year.
No, that's a deal breaker. Oh my God. Really? No offense. I'll tell you what, if you have him back next year, there needs to be a putt in which you look right at him and you go, here's the deal. You make the putt, you can keep putting ketchup on your dogs. You miss it, that's it. You're done for the weekend.
Uber is dying? Really?
Oh, Logic Man, don't get me started. If they had hired Miller and Moulton 10 years ago, honestly, the job we would have done for them. From a marketing standpoint. Golly.
Well, it's not food, Canada Relief. It's just a paste that you mix with water that you use instead of bouillon cubes. But yes, I use it, and it's outstanding. David, today changed everything in sports. This is Rudy Gobert testing positive for COVID today.
Remember it.
Hey,
vividly.
Jesse's going to voicemail.
Jesse's going to voicemail. Okay.
Oh, good. Well, you know what? Fine.
My buddy, actually, his wife got him a hot dog holder that fits in a golf cart.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, until the Diamond District bonus hour in the 239. Final segment along the network. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on Twix, Twitter/X. So there. Our poll question, very simple. Did you watch the Oscars? Yay or nay? That's it. It could be 3 hours, could be 3 minutes, or zilch, nada.
Yeah, David, our early votes helped out the yeses. Right now, over 80% of our audience did not watch 1 second of the Oscars last night.
Okay. You know what we should have asked instead is, did you go see a movie in the last year? Now, you and I both watched, you watched a little more of it than I did, and neither one of us, wait a minute, did I see it? I think my wife and I last summer went on a date. I think we had one movie night last year. So maybe that'll be the question a year from now. Jesse Simonton of On3 Sports is kind enough to join us at this time. He covers college football, and he covers it coast to coast for On3. You can follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at Jesse R.E. Simonton, Simonton. Jesse, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. You wrote about the Canes. That's a very volatile topic in these parts because the last thing you can say after Canes football is implying in any way, shape, or form that they are back. You're not doing that, are you?
No, I think it's all relative. I just think that, one of the missing pieces the last couple of years for that program has been, substandard quarterback play. You get a guy like Cameron Ward, the upside with Restrepo, with some of the other pieces you have offensively. I do think there's some questions now, at the running back position because Mark Fletcher, where's that foot injury? He misses the bowl game or gets hurt in the bowl game. Now he's missing part of the spring. You lose some depth there with Don Chaney leaving. So I am curious to see if they decide they need to dip into the portal for a little bit of help. But I like the pieces that they have on offense this year. Mario has done a nice job rebuilding the lines of scrimmage, offensive and defensive lines. Those were, kind of problematic areas that he inherited from the Manny Diaz era. And now he really just frankly needs to win, guys. He's done – I've said he's one of the best coaches in the country when it comes to, recruiting and building a staff and putting some nice pieces together. But it's those Saturdays that in the fall, really good from December all the way until August. But let's see what happens from September, through November this year.
Well, what does Ward bring that they've not had before, Jesse?
I mean, in the last several years, they haven't had a 1,000-yard passer since 17 or 18. So from just a baseline, it's production. A 3,000-yard passer, 3,000-yard passer since 2018. So that's just production. I know Tyler Van Dyke flashed at times, but the consistency was lacking there. He clearly lost his confidence, which was an issue. You go back before that, again, Derek King did some nice things. But I just think that Cam Ward is a guy that really, he balled out at Incarnate Ward, went to Wazoo and put up massive numbers there. He's going to be in a similar, air raid scheme down with working with Shannon Dawson. They'll incorporate some other stuff as long as he takes care of the football from a fumbling perspective. That's probably the biggest concern, guys, is he's not a guy that throws or has a history of throwing many interceptions, which Miami quarterbacks in the last couple of years have had the propensity of. But Cam Ward will lay it on the ground as much as he runs the ball. So that needs to be kind of a priority and focus, I guess, this spring to just kind of clean up some of the areas around his game.
Jesse, the roster from top to bottom, just how good is it? Because obviously Miami fans would love to see in year 3 of Mario what Florida State ended up getting year 3 under Norvell, which was a 10-3 season. Is this roster, and oh, by the way, that was the breakout for Jordan Travis, and look what happened. So let's just say that Ward, is what he needs to be at quarterback. Is the rest of the parts around him capable of producing a 10-win season?
We'll see. The schedule sets up as such. I do think that, again, it was paramount that he rebuild the lines of scrimmage. He's done that. Now those guys now have to, deliver on the field, and he, as a head coach, needs to, I think, be better on Saturdays as well. And so some of that's getting out of your own way, whether it's stubbornness with the not calling the timeouts, whether it's some of the conservative play calling inside the red zone. I think that's a big area that needs addressing this offseason. But the pieces are there. The roster is in much better shape than it was when he first got there. But again, that doesn't necessarily automatically equate to wins. You guys saw that firsthand in year 1 when, they went backwards, even though Mario had run off a bunch of people, had brought in some transfers, signed some nice, recruits. So TBD, I think they should. This should be a year that Miami is competitive in the ACC, that you have, the Maliaga brothers. You got Bain on coming off the edge. So you have some real blue chip talent. Now you got to put it together.
when you look at Mario Cristobal and he's had trouble sometimes developing quarterbacks, is this the best route for Miami in the future? Is just they've got the money, go to the portal, pay the best guy you can get, and bring in the free agent, if you will.
Well, that's why it is key that this one does work. And yes, he does have, Mario has a history of, I don't know if it's necessarily lack of developing or if it's almost more just kind of maybe getting in the way a bit too much when maybe you should let your offensive coordinator just kind of handle the gig, so to speak. But this is a big opportunity for the Canes to, if they can, if Ward does pan out, if he does have a really big season, Miami, I think, would then become, a very, very attractive option for future transfer quarterbacks because Mario can say, hey, this one worked. I can build the infrastructure around you. I'm going to go and get all the best players I can around you. They finally, again, have some nice receiving talent there with the Canes. And so you led me right into, one of the notes in my piece that I do think that that's an important, equation in all this for Cam Ward actually working out.
Can Miami be Miami again? And I don't mean dynastic, but, we've asked this question about Nebraska football. We're asking it about Indiana basketball, Jesse, and we're talking with Jesse Simonton. He covers college football nationally for On3 Sports. We all know what's at stake in the 2020s in modern college football. Do you think Miami can be a consistent player again?
I think they can be a contender, but I do think it's going to be, I think kind of the elephant in the room with that is what conference are they going to be in? Because if they are still in the ACC as currently constituted with the TV rights deal as currently constituted, then they will not be a player with a, capital A at the end of that, because they simply aren't going to have the finances that these schools, that even a school like Florida, in-state, or Texas, or Georgia, or Alabama, or Ohio State, Michigan, because those TV rights deals and the money that's being brought in for those schools and those conferences is just gargantuan compared to what the ACC can produce right now. So if we are, barreling towards further realignment where Miami and Florida State and Clemson and maybe a couple other schools, North Carolina, find their way to a new conference, then I do think that Miami's sustainability to return at least to a contender. They'll never be, they'll never rip off, I don't think, what Georgia has done, winning 2 in a row, or even Clemson or anything like that. I don't think, the Miami heyday of the early 2000s and then previously before that, that's not going to happen again. But I do think they are in a position if, some realignment chairs and musical chairs happen again for them to be at least a team that's constantly competing for one of those, 12 or 14 or whatever 16-team playoff spots we're going to have.
Do you think that's an if or a when, Jesse, as far as, the ACC blowing up? Because Miller and Moulton think the conference is going to blow up. It's just a matter of when, not if. What are your thoughts?
I do think I do think it's a matter of when, because Florida State has been so forceful and so, they have not been quiet about their hell raising. So that is only going to get louder as they get closer and closer, to seeing their chances of becoming a, annual contender fizzle because they can't actually compete off the field with some of the stuff. So I do think that we are inevitably going to end up with kind of the AFC, NFC in college football, and then there'll be everybody else. And so we'll see where that lands. Miami would certainly be, one of these schools that would be attractive to any mini conferences in terms of, adding another major program that has prestige and history and tradition. And obviously, if they can put it together, could also be competitive here in the modern era of college football.
Jesse, we enjoyed your piece. Thanks for making time for us to talk about it, and hopefully we can talk again before the season gets underway.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. Jesse
Simonton covers college football for On3 Sports, and you can follow him on Twix, Jesse R.E. Simonton, Simonton. Jesse Simonton from On3 Sports, and he's written a piece saying, this Cam Ward impact on Miami, don't downplay it. This could be a big deal.
And as he said in the interview there, it's not just a big deal for this year for Miami. It's the future of what Mario may be able to do in the transfer portal as far as getting quarterbacks to come to the U.
Can we put any more importance on August 31st in the swamp, Miami at Florida? If, let's just say, we've talked about it from Billy Napier, and if he gets a win and what have you, Miami wins that game. FAMU, Ball State at South Florida, which is not a gimme.
No, but it should be a win.
They should win. That would be 4-0 hosting Vatech on a Friday night. Vatech's program has stumbled. Then they'd go to Cal.
Oh, that ACC rivalry like no other.
And then it's a bye week. And then no Clemson, no North Carolina on the schedule. No Notre Dame on the schedule. And they get Florida State at home. The road conference games this year are Cal, I know, Louisville, Georgia Tech, and Syracuse. Come on now. I mean, this is how you put 10 wins on the board. You get quarterback play, you win the first game of the year, and it's like, okay. Remember, Florida State 2 years ago got off to a 4-0 start. What'd they do? Beat LSU. And then, yes, they had a 3-game losing streak in conference, but they had a really tough schedule in conference. Miami, outside of Florida State, doesn't seemingly have that tough schedule. I mean, come on now. We're not going to – that's a doable schedule if you have your act together.
100%. Mario's got to get out of his own way.
Yes, he does.
How many games will Mario cost Mario?
It's just like Belichick the GM getting Belichick the coach fired.
It is. Because Mario the GM is terrific, David. Mario the coach is not. In fact, call Belichick.
You know what they should do? They should deny Mario entrance into the parking lot. And like, no, sorry, it's already been taken, sir. No, look, see, we already got somebody parked in your spot. Okay, we'll let you go to the suite and watch the game. It's air conditioned and everything. So
what we're trying to say here is it's a big year in Gainesville. It's a big year in Coral Gables as well.
Mm-hmm. Hey, very quickly, you're Florida State. Do you want to bring Miami with you? To the Big Ten, do you want to bring Miami with you?
I do.
Because if I'm the Big Ten, I want them. I want them both.
I do. I want them with us. Travel partners. Keep the continuity of the rivalry together.
Well, yeah, because imagine if they don't. You're going to want to keep playing Florida and Miami. So that's 2 non-conference games?
Right.
On top of your Big Ten schedule? And yes, we're saying Big Ten. We think maybe the bridge between Florida State and ESPN/the SEC is broken. I don't know. We think it's been blown up. Think we're off base with that? Miller and Moulton, Diamond District bonus hours next.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready to make March unforgettable? No, seriously. Get ready to be dazzled as Jason and Todd with the Diamond District invite you to their largest diamond event ever, featuring one of the world's largest diamond cutters, beginning Friday, March 15th, running through Sunday the 17th. Picture this, GIA certified diamonds ranging from 1 carat to a stunning 11 carat diamonds, all at the lowest prices you'll find anywhere. No, seriously, the lowest prices. And that's not all. A. Jaffe, one of America's top bridal designers, will be joining the Diamond District for this extraordinary event. Whether you're searching for that perfect engagement ring to symbolize your love or looking to treat yourself to a timeless piece of fine jewelry, the Diamond District has exactly what you need. With their wide selection of fine jewelry at unbeatable prices, you're sure to find something that will take your breath away. No, seriously. Don't miss out on the biggest diamond event of the year, Friday the 15th through Sunday the 17th.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you see what happened to the Utah State women's coach?
No. But people are saying that she's going to get fired.
She got fired.
Oh.
Right after the game. This is Bar. This.
Respect her decision, and I hope they get a really good coach in. Assuming that's going to be the last question. All right.
She gets up to the presser.
Thank you, Coach.
Here. She gets up to the presser. They ask her how she's going to rebuild for next year. She goes, I was just informed I'm not coming back.
I'm not going to be rebuilding. I just coached my last game at Utah State. I spoke with Diana, and they're going in a different direction, and I respect her decision, and I hope they get a really good coach in.
There's cold, and then there's cold.
Well, Jeremy fired Zook walking off the field at Starkville. I'm trying to think if the AD, if Jeff Long got fired walking off the field.
Wasn't Herm Edwards fired on the field?
In Fayetteville, or if Bielema got fired walking off the field, but one of them, either the head coach or the AD, got fired at Arkansas walking off the field. Where? At Arizona State?
Yeah, I think on the field he was informed right after the game.
Oh, come on. That guy, his buddy was the
his old
AD.
agent.
Yeah, come on, he knew.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he did, but like there's video of a conversation taking place, and it looks like his reaction is like, oh, shoot.
I will say, David, you may need Hulu for a month. I did see the ad for it. I don't know when it comes on, but the John Bon Jovi story is coming to Hulu.
I know. My wife asked me over the weekend, do we get Hulu? We need it by next month. I said, seriously?
You get it for a month and you drop it.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to do, apparently.
Or you got to do the bundle, the ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, Hulu bundle.
You know, it probably wouldn't be a bad bundle for you with the granddaughter. Well, I'm not being smart. If she could, I don't know. I wasn't being smart. I know
you weren't. If you'd let me say something, right? Here's the funny thing. I might be paying for it now, but only using the ESPN Plus part of it. So I'm going to have to look into that.
Lions are re-signing Glasgow to a 3-year, $20 million deal.
I like him. He can play center too if Ragnow gets a little banged up.
By the way, did you see Torts in Tampa over the weekend?
I saw that he got tossed. He didn't want to quit yelling, kept yelling, got fined $50,000 for it.
Well, suspended 2 games by the NHL for it. The Flyers, on the night, by the way, that they honored the 04 Cup winners.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Noon, 3 hours from now, the whole legal tampering can begin. 3 hours from now. There's been no conversations up until now. But in 3 hours, all of a sudden, make sure your phone is fully charged. Whatever.
I did see someone who covers the league tweet out something to the effect of, if you thought last night was crazy, wait till noon today.
What I'm going to enjoy are all the deals that are reported between noon and 3. Wow. How did they do this? Did they not take phone calls from anybody else? So they only got one call. They made a deal, huh? It's like the year Washington signed, was it Stubblefield back in the day? They announced the contract signing at like 12:23 a.m. It's remarkable because free agency began at 12:01. They had this whole contract worked out, $100 million and everything. Nothing to see here. But there are some signings going on right now. The Bills center who got let go, Mitch Morse, Jacksonville signed him. You got teams who are signing their guys last minute so they don't hit free agency. Like Trent, your Lions kept
Glasnow, the guard.
And I guess he could move over to center if Ragnow gets hurt.
Yeah, he played a little bit of center this year. Gritty player. Fits the mold. It's also a second stint in Detroit.
Look at Seago's gritty player because the
grit.
The grit thing there. Oh,
grit
my
thing.
goodness
Right.
gracious.
Yep.
You are not painfully obvious.
No.
Grit is
No.
the fit. That's how it works.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Should he be
He's fighting kneecaps over there right now?
Should he be a Flyers fan? Okay, with the whole Gritty as the mascot. I know he's a Wings fan, but should he really be a Flyers fan?
He should at least have a Gritty t-shirt.
I had a hat. I don't know what happened to it. I lost it. I had the hat, said grit on it. The one Dan Campbell wears. Like,
no,
we
get it.
We know.
We get it.
We
get it.
Trust me, Trent, we get it.
We get it. So anyway, it begins in 3 hours. I am, though, not to sound like, I'm a P1 that ESPN's talking head show's going after, but I am curious where Cousins goes and where Fields gets traded to. I'm very interested.
Well, Cousins, isn't it back to Minnesota or Atlanta?
Oh, yeah, but there's a big difference. I mean, that's all. Yes, it's going to be one of the two, but there's a big difference. I mean, if he leaves Minnesota, we can forget about the Vikings for 1 to 2 years. I mean, who are they going to replace him with? Seriously. Gardner Minshew? Jacoby Brissett?
Josh Dobbs.
Right. Like I said, we can forget about the Vikings for 1 to 2 years. I mean, are they then going to draft a quarterback at 11? If you lose Cousins. And if so, by the way, you open yourself up. Denver's at 12. The Bears have made it public. Yes, they've got the number 1 pick, but they also have number 9. And the Bears have put a for sale sign on it. You run the risk if you're Minnesota of somebody trading ahead of you to draft your guy if you're going to go that route.
Isn't the rumor that they like McCarthy, the Vikings?
Well, I've heard that with Denver too. But I've heard a couple other quarterbacks mentioned with Denver, so who knows what you're hearing to be truth at these points.
You know, I mean, lots of rumors out there. Drake May could be the Will Levis of this draft. That if he doesn't get taken by the Patriots at 3, look out. He could fall like a stone. Huh, okay. But I'm just curious, Mark. Cousins and Fields. And remember, by the way, Fields went into Minnesota last year and beat the Vikings. I just.
But will they trade inside their, will the Bears trade Fields inside the division?
Well, there may not be a market for Justin Fields. You tell me right now. You tell me the teams that you think would be willing to give up. Trey Lance got a 4th-round pick. Mac Jones got a 6th. The difference, Lance had 2 years left on his rookie deal. Mac only has 1. But Trey Lance got a 4th. Mac Jones got a 6th. Can you realistically, if you're the Bears, how much more than a 4th do you think you can get right now?
I don't think that's as good as you're going to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you get 1/4.
Okay. You tell me the team right now. You can go through your mental Rolodex, go division by division. Nobody in the NFC East, nobody in the NFC North, right? Outside of Minnesota. So we'll just put Minnesota on the side. NFC South, we think Cousins is going to Atlanta.
I mean, if Minnesota keeps Cousins, Atlanta's in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're Atlanta, that's a disaster, right? Maybe I shouldn't say disaster, but you definitely want Cousins.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
And if
granted, but
Fields
you
is
have
your
to
fallback.
spend $30+ million more a year to get Cousins. I mean, that's why Fields could be the fallback. He's still on his rookie deal. Heck, you could pick up his 5th-year option if you want, which I think is like $22 million for next year. But that's pretty good. If you think he's your answer at quarterback, to have him for 2 years for a total of $30 million, that's pretty cheap at the quarterback position. NFC West, we see any team there? I mean,
Maybe Seattle.
Yeah, maybe new regime, but probably not. Okay. Now, hell, who in the AFC needs a quarterback besides New England?
Vegas.
Okay.
I mean, Vegas has got to be a possibility, David.
Okay. So Vegas, New England, and wherever Cousins doesn't go between Minnesota and Atlanta.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So we have we see only 3 potential phone calls. Remember, reportedly, Jacksonville was the only team that called the Patriots for Mac Jones. So if you're one of those teams.
Yeah, I'm probably offering a 5th. And if they want to hang up the phone and say, I'll get back to you, that's fine. You can call me back and maybe we'll up it to a 4th. But based on what the market is right now, you might be onto something here, David. This might not even take a 4th-round pick.
Now, it wasn't last year. In fact, it might have been, I'm trying to think. I think it was 2 years ago. But anyway, Fields, it wasn't 23, it was 22. Fields and the Bears, the last game they won that year, they went to New England and shellacked the Patriots, and Fields was terrific. Now, I know Belichick's not there and what have you, but the guy who's the head coach now, he was there. He was trying to stop Fields. He didn't do anything to stop Fields that day. They went up and down the field. They scored 7 times. think they scored 7 times in a row, actually, on the guy who's the current head coach in New England. And Mark, we've seen this a lot in sports. Why did they acquire so-and-so? Did you check out how so-and-so did against them? Their opinion of so-and-so is better than yours.
Patriots draft Drake May at 3, trade for Justin Fields.
Well, no. How about if they draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3?
How about if they trade out of it to someone that wants a quarterback?
Well, yes.
Because they need players. I mean, I don't think New England trading that pick is that crazy of an idea.
Well, whatever they do.
Especially if it's Drake May, because Drake May could get taken second.
Whatever they do, it's setting the tone for this new regime. It's their first big boy
Totally.
moment. So it's a big deal.
Mark and I think we now are of the belief that don't draft the quarterback until you think you're within a year or so or having the roster around him. Don't waste 3 years of his rookie contract putting the roster together. And now that you think, oh, we're pretty good, yeah, we also have to pay our quarterback. Try to get 1 or 2 cheap years out of your quarterback if you can. I mean, let's be honest right now. And I know the Patriots have $100 million, and apparently they're going to spend it. And they've got great draft position, and they haven't had either in forever. Do we think the Patriots are not drafting in the top 5 next year?
Well, for sure the top 10, probably the top 5, David. Division they're in, conference they're in, roster that they currently have.
And I can find you just as many people that think next year's quarterback class is going to be as good as this year's. So that the whole thought of, oh, you got to take your quarterback this year. Really? Can't take Quinn Ewers next year? We can just start going right through the list. Happens every year. I mean, was Jaden Daniels going 2nd or 3rd overall in the draft a year ago?
No.
Of course not. So,
but Drake May and Caleb Williams were going.
They were.
They were thought of the way they were heading into the year.
Mm-hmm.
And Drake May maybe didn't have the kind of year to propel him the way many thought he would.
Right.
But he didn't do enough to kill his stock. Now we're going to spend a month trying to destroy Drake May.
You know, the other thing, quite frankly, is if, let's just say the people who do this for a living are halfway accurate, there's talk that Penix may fall out of the first round. Bo Nix may fall out of the first round. Were the Patriots drafted in the 2nd round? I mean, if you're the Patriots, let's just say you do your evaluations on Nix and Penix. Hell, if you want, you could trade back in late 1st round and grab them. There are a lot of people that think Minnesota is going to do that also. They're going to do whatever they do at 11, but they're actually going to trade back in late in the 1st round and take Penix. Okay. So we have 3 destinations possible. Really, that's it.
Right. The loser of the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes between Minnesota and Atlanta.
And then
Raiders.
New England and Vegas.
Right.
Right.
Outside chance at Seattle.
Very outside.
If you had to put a 5th team on there.
Very outside. One of the 2 guys currently on the roster would have to be gone for that to even be a possibility. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on Twix. Thanks for listening.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready to make March unforgettable? No, seriously. Get ready to be dazzled as Jason and Todd with the Diamond District invite you to their largest diamond event ever, featuring one of the world's largest diamond cutters, beginning Friday, March 15th, running through Sunday the 17th. Picture this: GIA certified diamonds ranging from 1 carat to a stunning 11 carat diamonds, all at the lowest prices you'll find anywhere. No, seriously, the lowest prices. And that's not all. A. Jaffe, one of America's top bridal designers, will be joining the Diamond District for this extraordinary event. Whether you're searching for that perfect engagement ring to symbolize your love or looking to treat yourself to a timeless piece of fine jewelry, the Diamond District has exactly what you need. With their wide selection of fine jewelry at unbeatable prices, you're sure to find something that will take your breath away. No, seriously. Don't miss out on the biggest diamond event of the year, Friday the 15th through Sunday the 17th.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Florida.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking Drake to the Sweet 16.
Wow.
Been saying it for a month.
You know who I think is actually going to have a really good shot here is Arizona. No one's talking about them, and I don't know why.
Because USC just whacked them by 15.
Well, sure, but I guess like the Blue Bloods are all alive and well this year. They're not getting any attention.
I think it's going to be an awesome tournament. I think we're going to have a very fun week 1, but the Blue Bloods are going to be loaded week 2.
Ryan, the Commanders are going to draft a quarterback. That's why they're not going to trade for Fields.
Right. That's a done deal.
So
probably
we haven't gotten it. We've kind of missed the lead. We buried the lead a little bit today. The whole, Kate doctoring the photo over in England.
She doctored the photo?
That's what she says. This is the tweet. Like many amateur photographers, I do occasionally experiment with editing. I wanted to express my apologies for any confusion the family photograph we shared yesterday caused. I hope everyone celebrating had a happy Mother's Day.
Why? What'd they do with the photo?
It was edited. All I know is that 3-year Letterman retweeted it with the caption, "If you're going to edit a photo, it might as well be the one of your grandfather surrendering at Yorktown."
Well, they won't say the surgery that she had. I'm betting a hysterectomy, but I mean, yeah, she's taken 3 months off from public duties here.
Quote, I'm betting hysterectomy, end quote.
Yeah. Bob Pockres covered Stetson from 91 to 03. Our NASCAR guy.
We'll bring up, we got to get him on now.
He had a good interview with Logano, because apparently whoever hit Logano said, Logano braked, and Logano's like, he goes, because he's Bob. He just thinks Bob. He goes, if you can't go wide open here into the turns. Does he not? And he's come on. And it was a good soundbite. It was, because they had it right there in the race. It was like, all right.
By the way, the kid for Stetson who hit 7 threes, 7 of 9 from 3 to knock out Jacksonville, including 4 in a row in the final 3 minutes, Yeah, 0 for 4 from 3 yesterday. 30% three-point shooter.
Well,
Gotta
also
love-
Blackman, who
was held in check, held to like 12 points against Jacksonville, goes for 43. Right.
yeah, and he only hit 5 threes. I mean, that's
Right.
well,
No,
5 is
he's
very good,
he's
but
a put it on the floor, get to the rim, pull up mid-range. No, he's a bucket.
anytime someone drops 40 plus with less than 5 threes, I just always find that so impressive because it means they're actually playing basketball. They're not just chucking. Michigan State, by the way, yesterday, one of the most agonizing games to watch ever. Didn't play for the first 10 minutes, didn't play for the final 10 minutes.
By the way, Blackman's a junior. I don't know how you keep him after this. That's the other thing that's going on in, college basketball. Jacksonville's going to have that problem with Robert McRae, who's put 36 on the board, who averaged 31 in the ASUN playoffs in 3 games.
Incredible.
Yeah, and he's a sophomore, 6'4" guard, can go with either hand.
Here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Appreciate you being with us. The Diamond District bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Monday where, this is championship week for the big boys. It's Players Week. A few guys missing who would normally be there, but that's just the way it is on tour. But
I watched the first episode of Full Swing, season 2 over the weekend. And last year, Rory didn't want anything to do with it. Literally sat down for one interview. I think it was the last episode. And that's when he basically made the comment about Phil. And he's like, you can run that. And he, a little disparaging towards Mickelson. The entire first episode was Rory. And it went from the waste management through the PGA of last year, of Rory being the face of the tour and the golf going south. And Rory talking about that. It was fascinating to me.
Well, he's usually pretty open. Was he angry?
Oh, most of the stuff we know now, yeah, he felt betrayed with the whole, this is the merger with Liv all going on.
Sure.
But it was I'm ready I watched one episode and then, I did spend 4 days away from my family. I thought I probably should give them a little time on Sunday. So that went about the rest of the day after a golf tournament weekend for me. So, but I was up early enough that I got one under my belt. So, but it was just, they do a great job with these things, giving us some insight that we otherwise, I think maybe would read about, but not hear firsthand.
Rory gave an interview last week, right before the Arnold Palmer, in which he was asked point blank about him and the LIV, and he said simply, yeah, it's not for me. But you could tell that he's done waving the flag in all this. He's like, yeah, I'm just going back to being a golfer. I'll be curious if he were to win the Masters. I mean, to what level of betrayal? Because then he's got the career Grand Slam. What's the big thing going against the guys who have made the jump to LIV? They don't have access to the majors. Rory's not going to have that trouble. Now, in theory, he could have that trouble. Remember, he hasn't won a major in 10 years. So believe it or not, if Rory joined LIV in a year's time, he could fall out of qualifying for the Masters.
And it's really evident that he did not like Brooks getting number 5 before he did. I mean, he said it. After the Masters, he like interviewed after the Masters and said, well, yeah, I'd rather have a PGA guy win it. And then and then after the PGA, he congratulates Koepka, and it's, very genuine because they've got him in the parking lot. And you hear everything that's said between the two of them. It's great footage. I'm amazed how much access Augusta gave Full Swing. I mean, they're in the locker rooms. They're everywhere.
That is interesting.
Everywhere. They're out there with the practice rounds. I mean, it's good television to me.
Now, I will say Augusta, they've allowed ESPN last year did kind of a pre-Masters show for 2 hours, which was still, in comparison to what Joe Buck did for the PGA the year before, it was a little more buttoned up. But still, Augusta gave the okay, in which they said, yeah, you could do a 2 hours on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You could do pre-master stuff. Well, Thursday, Friday anyway. I don't think they can do it on the weekends.
So I just found that to be, it's a good watch for those that, with a lot of golf fans in our audience. And thought it was, at least the first one had me intrigued, and this is going to keep on keeping on throughout the second season of this.
Well, Scotty Scheffler showed that if his putter arrives, that he's far and away the best player in the world. Because Tita Green, he's been the best player in the world for the last 2 years, but his putting's been horrible. And yet he still has, 4 top 3 finishes in majors the last 2 years with 1 win?
His
and he can't putt.
Stats are the best in the game. They're Tiger-esque from.
Yeah, they really are. They're Tiger in the early 2000s-esque. That's how well he's hitting the ball.
And even the players after this tournament said if he putts the way he did on Sunday,
it's over.
It's a lot of guys playing for second.
Yep. So we'll see the players this week. Big conference tournament week, although we got some of the smaller conferences that have their finals today and tomorrow. Little Patriot League tonight, little SoCon tonight, little Sun Belt tonight. Here we go. Now we're talking.
Patriot League's Colgate, right? They've got, they're playing the 5 seed. That's a
Colgate and Lehigh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Colgate's put together a marvelous regular season and now 1 game to get in.
And I believe Colgate has been the automatic qualifier in the last 4 tournaments, I believe. And they would have won it in 2020 as well, for what it's worth.
I do know James Madison in the Sun Belt actually has a chance for an at-large. I mean, come on. They've won, 27 games? And they beat Michigan State at Michigan State, right?
That's correct.
First game of the year, yeah.
So how do you put Michigan State with 18 wins in ahead of them?
James Madison, currently, according to Shelby Mass from bracketwag.com, James Madison is on the 12 line. There's a play-in game on the 12 line between St. John's and A&M in his world. This means to me that if James Madison loses, they'll drop off the 12 line and it'll be very difficult for them to get in, even with 30 wins on the season.
Right. They're 30-3. 30-3. They're facing Arkansas State tonight in the Sun Belt Final at 7 o'clock.
It's the ultimate pressure. You've put together this incredible season. And you know deep down if you don't win, there's
You're
a
out.
really, really good chance that you're out.
I know. They lose. Michigan State's what? Beginning the Big Ten tournament 18-13?
Yes, they play Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just say they win 1, lose 1. So they're 19-14. 19-14 Michigan State, 30-4 James Madison.
James Madison.
Thank you. James Madison beat Michigan State.
Yes, that's got to
At
matter for
Michigan
something.
State. Thank you. And everybody's got Michigan State in. Not by much. Could be a play-in. Could be just above the play-in.
Well,
But
I know
they're
this
in.
drives you guys nuts, but they're 25th in the net. That's what they look at. They have a good net
But they're
ranking.
25th in the net because of the conference that they play in.
Right.
James Madison has no shot. That's why what Indiana State's done this year is pretty damn remarkable to have the net, what they have to get the games, to have a net where the fact that they lost to Drake yesterday, it looks like they're going to get in.
I mean, Come on, Trent. Michigan State lost to Indiana yesterday, and it doesn't hurt them. Why? Because it's a quad one game.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir over here. I'm not banging the drum for Michigan State. I don't think they deserve to get in. I'm just telling you. I mean, you guys know how this works.
Right, but this is where the committee, they have discretion. They've done it before. When it used to be the RPI, they gave a team that had a 71 RPI one year, an automatic, an at-large, I should say. You know,
They haven't in a long time, David.
I know.
This thing has been
damn
near rigged for the big boys. Why did they get rid of the RPI, David?
Because it hurt. It wasn't good enough for the big boys. Right. They felt they needed something a little more accurate.
I mean, this is no different than the college football playoff and Petiti and Sankey saying, well, we need 4 in each to even move forward with this.
So apparently the momentum now is to not give the Big Ten and the SEC the top 2 seeds. However, the Big Ten and the SEC has drawn the line in the sand reportedly about the money, in which essentially they're going to take about 60% off the top. And then we'll see how it plays out.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Are you ready to make March unforgettable? No, seriously. Get ready to be dazzled as Jason and Todd with the Diamond District invite you to their largest diamond event ever, featuring one of the world's largest diamond cutters, beginning Friday, March 15th, running through Sunday the 17th. Picture this: GIA certified diamonds ranging from 1 carat to a stunning 11 carat diamonds, all at the lowest prices you'll find anywhere. No, seriously, the lowest prices. And that's not all. A. Jaffe, one of America's top bridal designers, will be joining the Diamond District for this extraordinary event. Whether you're searching for that perfect engagement ring to symbolize your love or looking to treat yourself to a timeless piece of fine jewelry, the Diamond District has exactly what you need. With their wide selection of fine jewelry at unbeatable prices, you're sure to find something that will take your breath away. No, seriously. Don't miss out on the biggest diamond event of the year, Friday the 15th through Sunday the 17th.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So in the women's net, Vandy is 55. And if you go on women's bracketology, just about everybody's got Vandy in. FGC is 56.
Here's what I find interesting. So Gonzaga is 16th in the net. They play in the WCC.
They schedule.
Yeah, but they're 3-5 in quad one. Like, I don't understand. I guess I just don't understand how the system works.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't get it. Because, like, you're right. You're largely right. Like, 90% of it is, like, who you play, like, if you play good teams. But Gonzaga has 3-5 against quad one in their top 20.
Because you're not hurt for losing a quad one game.
Okay.
And I don't totally understand the net, but you're not penalized for losing a quad one game.
That's true, because I'm looking at it now, and Alabama's 3-9 in the net, or in quad one. They're top 10. Auburn's 1-7 in quad.
I don't know how much you're hurt losing a quad two game.
Yeah, I think we not us, but I think as a basketball society, we've kind of lost the plot a little bit on who makes the tournament. It's sad. And I love the sport. I love the tournament. I'll be the first to admit my team should not be in. 100%. Watched them all season. They're not a tournament team.
Don't you have to put St. John's against New Mexico and Michigan State against Indiana State? And
That would be great. It'd be awesome. New Mexico versus St. John's would be like probably the most watched playing game ever.
No. But it's a good jump to conclusion answer.
Yeah.
Got to have a marquee name to get a big draw, and they've had a few marquee names in the play-in game.
Yeah, no, in all seriousness, I think Michigan State, UCLA, that was maybe the biggest.
Probably.
It's the biggest that I can think of. Syracuse was in it a few years ago. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. David Sampson, Pat Kerwin, at the very least, on the show tomorrow. So join us for that. MillerandMoulton.com and Miller_Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com is where you go. You miss any part of the show, you can go to MillerandMoulton.com and download what you missed.
And you missed Roy Cummings, Ray Filipaldo, and Jesse Simonton today. We talked a little Kings, we talked a little Bucks, and we talked some Pittsburgh Steelers with Ray earlier in the show, which was a nice get by one David Moulton.
Russell Wilson's a Steeler. How about that? Did you think that's where he was going to go?
No.
I didn't either.
He's going to look really weird in that uniform. I'm trying to picture it right now. I can't really see it. It doesn't look like a fit.
I agree with that. I'm fascinated by the whole dynamic between Tomlin and Russ Wilson this year. That intrigues me.
I'm actually fascinated by the Steeler fans' reaction to this. Do they think, thank goodness, we weren't going to do anything with Pickett? Or are they thinking, for goodness sakes, Russ is done. What are we doing? This isn't an upgrade. He's just 10 years older. What are we doing? And 6 inches shorter. What the heck? I'm curious.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
It's all Kate, that doctored photo.
Okay, so what happened here?
They put out a photo,
Right.
a photo of Kate and the kids yesterday.
Well,
Because it was Mother's Day in Great Britain.
Right. They're 2 months ahead of us for Mother's Day. So yeah, it was her with the 3 daughters. I thought the big controversy was she didn't have her wedding ring on.
Well, then it turns to find out that she edited this photo.
What?
And she issued a statement basically saying that I, like many, like to experiment with editing. So it's turned into a little bit of a story. And I thought you'd be all over that.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, what did she edit? Did she make herself look prettier? Did she take 10 pounds off her? What, change the color of the sweater? What's the edit?
Well, obviously a different hand that's in there because she put one in with no ring on it.
Well, that's strange. Why would you take your hand out of a photo?
I don't know. Maybe she's editing photos now.
I can't.
It's a hobby.
I can't believe. How could you think that you're getting away with that? How could anybody associated with that whole apparatus think, oh yeah, nobody will notice? I mean, talk about people that are overanalyzed. Oh no, we'll just slide this one. We'll get this one by the goalie. Really?
I'm glad we went back and forth on this because there's not a whole lot that happened today, David.
Okay.
We got to get to the tournament so we can have some, sporting results. But today in 1892, the first public basketball game was played in Springfield, Massachusetts. 1927, the first Golden Gloves. I remember the Golden Gloves, David.
Yes.
I used to go every year with my dad.
Especially where, I grew up. It was a big thing in the Northeast.
1958, American League batters are required to wear helmets.
Can you believe we took that long?
No.
I mean, it's some of the things that we waited so long about, and then 8 minutes after we do it, we're like, why weren't we doing this?
But I like the NHL mandated helmets, but if you weren't wearing them before the rule came in, you could still go without one.
Right. Craig McTavish went, nearly 10 years without wearing a helmet? He was grandfathered in?
Today in 86, Mike Bossy becomes the first NHLer to score 50 goals in 9 straight seasons. His statistics are ridiculous.
And then his back gave out, and I think he was done the next year.
Next year. Scored 38 the next year, and that was it. Over. Today in 1997, Paul McCartney became Sir Paul McCartney. And it was 4 years ago that Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID-19, and the NBA shut the league down.
That shook the sports world. Not just like the world, but the sports world when Rudy did that was insane.
Trent, you weren't here. This was the best part. That was a Wednesday night. I remember because I was broadcasting FGCU in the ASUN semis. And the story was out, and Semesco came courtside, and we're doing an interview. And we're both kind of looking at one another, kind of like, should we be this close to one another? What's really going on? And then we're talking about the final on Sunday, and we're both looking at one another like, is there really going to be a final on Sunday? So anyway, we get done with it. And so the next day was big conference tournament day. Big East, what they play, a half, or was it the ACC?
ACC. They played the half of was it Florida State, Tech?
And then declared Florida State the ACC champion, right? Because they were the number 1 overall seed.
I remember the Big Ten tournament had just gotten underway, and Fred Hoiberg, coach of Nebraska, was sweating bullets, and no one knew what was going on. It was really weird. Like, he's sick. He's got COVID.
And so, but here's the funny thing. So the whole sports world on Thursday shuts down. FGCU's hosting Liberty Sunday afternoon for the ASUN women's final. And that didn't get canceled. All right. Trust me. I'm on the phone Friday afternoon with the A-Sun going, we still playing? And he goes, well, both schools want to. The whole world is shutting down. Every 3 minutes, there's a press announcement of shutting down. FGCU at 3 o'clock that Friday made sure to send out a press release. We're playing Liberty. It's a whiteout. We're selling tickets. Everybody attend.
Well, and even Craig Brush with the Everblades. I think we had him on the air right before that. He goes, well, Disney's not shut down.
Right.
We're playing.
And then by 5 o'clock, about an hour and a half after FGCU sent out the email going, we're playing, the A-Sun said, no, we're not playing. And Mark, selfishly, first off, I'm about to get into maybe the biggest knockdown, drag-out fight with my wife that we would have ever have had, because I'm broadcasting the game. And the whole sports world shut down. And I'm sitting here going, well, this ESPN Plus broadcast is going to get upgraded. This is going to at least go on the Deuce, but this could be on the mothership. This could get some publicity. There is nothing going on in sports this weekend, except apparently FGCU and Liberty for the A-Sun women's title. And I'm holding off forever because I'm going to say to my wife, yeah, I'm doing the game.
That would have gone over so well.
She might have, one of us might have had to move out.
Shemp Howard, Lawrence Welk, Doc Ellis, all born today. Rupert Murdoch's 93. Johnny Knoxville's 53, and Becky Hammond's 47. What did I miss, David?
Well, I'll just give you one thing. Cops debuted 35 years ago on television, 1989 today.
So big, it's part of a Wendy's commercial now.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Mobile, Alabama for the good, where a dog who had spent several months wandering loose with a box stuck over his head is now free and has a new home. The dog's name's Bear was wandering around the Gulf Coast on multiple occasions with a box stuck over his head before rescuers were able to grab the box off his head. They got him into animal services. He has been adopted. No box, no more. For the bad, we go to Australia, where if you were playing golf at the Heritage Golf and Country Club in Victoria, Australia, you saw something that many people would never see. A stampede of kangaroos invaded the golf course. Literally. Like hundreds of kangaroos hopping down the golf course. Guy taking video says, asking the kangaroos not to stand on my golf ball.
Do you do that politely or sternly?
I'm getting the hell out of the way. They're fast. They're big.
They are big.
And finally, the ugly. We go to Cocoa, Florida, where a missing Florida woman is found alive and safe after banging on the door of a shipping container that she was trapped in. Marlene Lopez was reported missing on Wednesday. She was found the next day before noon in a shipping container next to a business. She was trapped in the container for almost 72 hours. When asked what happened, she said she didn't know. She was, I was in one place and found another. And the people who owned the shipping container ended up going to secure it for the night, not knowing she was in there. Apparently just a case of wrong place at the wrong time. Unfortunately for her, she is safe and home now. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, March the 11th, 2024.
All right, here's the deal. So we have two bids tonight. The Sun Belt Final at 7, Arkansas State and James Madison. Also at 7 on ESPN2. The Sun Belt's on ESPN. On ESPN2 is the SoCon Final. East Tennessee State used to be in the A-Sun. And Samford, ETSU, is the 7 seed, trying to steal that bid. We got semis of the Summit, of the Colonial, of the West Coast Conference, and the Horizon League. semis tonight. By the way, the Patriot League final's not till Wednesday between Colgate and Lehigh because they do it on home court. So they're giving Lehigh time to travel. So there you have it. The major conference tournaments do not get underway. Some get underway as early as tomorrow, but definitely by Wednesday.
4 NHL games tonight. Devils and Rangers, David.
Oh, I know.
Probably the best game tonight. Maybe the Kings and Islanders, not a bad game either, as the Kings pretty solid in the West, and the Islanders looking to keep that final wild card spot.
Well, they've won 6 in a row, and actually, yeah, they're ahead of your Wings right now.
And 2 back at Tampa.
So 6 games in the association, none of them nationally televised. Okay, here we go. Trent, you going to lay 3.5 with the Pistons at home tonight?
Already did.
Unbelievable. I will say they are hosting 16-win Charlotte. I mean, these two teams combined are 26 and 101.
Here's the problem. Trent, we like you a lot. We really do.
Glad to hear that.
But this is showing signs of a terrible, degenerate gambler. When you are betting on the Pistons and Hornets, you, sir, may have a problem.
1-800-GAMBLER. You know, one of the Pistons' wins this year was against the Hornets. I'm spinning it. I am spinning it, David. Come on.
Well, I mean, the big question is, what's the boost? What's the Hard Rock boost tonight? Because let me tell you, if they boost it, you bet it.
Oh, absolutely. And the boost tonight is St. Mary's to win and Gonzaga both to win. They're both heavy favorites. It's -175. It's not great value, but it's a lock.
It's a lock, he
says. It's a lock.
St. Mary's by 10.5, Gonzaga by 8.5. The only two ranked teams,
by the way.
The only two ranked teams in action tonight.
So there's your boost, and there's a look at what the lineup looks like tonight around the world of sports.
So Sampson and Kerwin tomorrow, and beginning noon today, the legal tampering gets underway. And how many deals do you think? They obviously won't be official till Wednesday afternoon. But by the time we come on the air tomorrow, in 18 hours of legal tampering, how many, quote, deals are reported?
How many free agents are there?
Well, there's hundreds.
Right. I mean, hundreds.
Hundreds.
So if I were to put it at, is it crazy to put the number in the 20s?
No.
Of deals done today?
Well, that's why I wondered, do you think there'll be on average of a deal per team?
A little less than that.
Okay.
I'd put the over-under at 22.5.
Oh, it's so hysterical you said that. I had 23.5 in my head.
Well, I had 25, so I'm going over.
Well, I'm always in over.
They're more fun.
I always bet on more deals, more trades, more signings. Mitch Morse does not count as one of those deals because that deal's already been announced.
No, this is just from noon on.
Correct. The legal tampering. Over under 23.5. We're going over. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll do it again tomorrow. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordable.